Hello everybody. If you're not watching this live, you could probably skip ahead about 5 minutes or so because I wait for everybody to come online before I start. So unless you want to hear me greeting people. Kathy, welcome. Hi Kay. Hi Deborah. Welcome everybody. So glad you're here. Hi Kathy. Hey Mark, how are you? Hi Alex, welcome guys. Going to wait about 5 minutes to get everybody on board. Alex, Christina, welcome. Hi, how are you? Hi Todd, good to see you buddy. Hi Peter, how are you sir? Thanks for sharing your wonderful love and this show with people. Rob, good to see you. How are you sir? Deborah, hi, how are you? And where are you guys in from? Where are you calling in from? Just say hi to everybody. Let me know how you're doing too, right? Glenn and Penny, welcome. Welcome. Jackie, hello. How are you? And Luz, good to see you. And please let us know if it's your first time or if you're new to this, and maybe say who shared this with you. That would be kind of cool too. Hi Brandy, how are you? You bring a smile to my face. Leslie, hi. Hi Kathy, again. Before your bedtime, yes, I'm happy to share this with the East Coast at a time when they're not drifting off. I think one of the reasons some people like my voice is that I put them to sleep sometimes. I'm sorry, let me plug in here. I always forget that, don't I? Hey Justin, how are you, man? Hi Kay, how are you? Brett, welcome. Hi Gary, welcome from Springfield. Hi Amy, good to see you. And Tommy Towers, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. And guys, thank you for your support on the indoctrination. Thank you for your donations. Can't tell you how it helps and warms my heart, and it's actually helping me to go to the next level here because I plan on going on multiple platforms here very soon because we're getting such a great following that I want to make sure that I'm able to reach as far and wide as we can because the numbers we're doing here on Facebook are phenomenal, and yet it's not a place to go to watch a 2-hour video. Hi Mandy. Hi Leslie, how are you? Judy, welcome. Hi Daphne. Hope you guys don't mind this, but I like to, as much as possible, I like to greet everybody, and I know this isn't going to last long because we'll probably get up to a point where this is my goal anyway, is to get to enough numbers where I can't really have this personal touch. I'll still interact quite a bit, as you know, but maybe not say hi to everybody. Hi Lisa, welcome. Hi Sherry. Thank you guys for all your great shares. Hi Kathy, Glenn, and Penny are waving again. Hi. What's good, Justin? How you doing? Scott, welcome, buddy. Thanks for spreading the word. Scott's out there putting the word out on the presser, and he's putting the indoctrination down, and one of my biggest supporters. Thank you, Scott. And Peter, you the same. Ed, welcome, buddy. Glad you could make it. Good connecting today. Jackie, you're in Woodland Hills. Cool. Justin, Northern Nevada. Hi, Val. Val, welcome. And Randy, welcome. SoCal, you're about 45 minutes away, Peter, huh? Hi, Lisa, how are you? Hi, Ann. And Daphne is in PA. Yeah, let's do this, folks. What do you say here? We're getting up to 65, and we're only a few minutes in here. It's only 4:04. Rob, welcome. Hey, I got this little pen here, guys, so I'm actually going to be able to touch. If you write me a note, I can actually touch it and without my big mitts getting in the way. Hi, Kay. And I'm glad you're great, Justin. You are great, man. And sweet. Hi, Luna. Welcome. Scott brought you. Fantastic. Welcome here. Yeah, Luna just came in. Awesome. Luna, you got some great info on 5G and vaccines. That's very important here. Thank you, Brandy, for that. Randy, welcome. And Lisa from the East Coast, and have to watch you the next day. So now you're live. Fantastic. So yeah, I'll do some of these so that they're a little easier to watch for the East Coast. Hi Angel, welcome. Dee, always great to have you here. Thank you. You're welcome, Michael. Yeah. And let's see. Susan, welcome. Santiago. Annette, welcome. Lisa, welcome. Good early evening, Val. Yes. Vicky, welcome. Love the early start. Okay. So listen, if you guys want, here's the thing you can do is if you message me, give me some feedback on the show. If you'd like it at a different time, or, obviously I can't accommodate, everybody. But if I get the numbers, certainly I'm going to want to, because the live is kind of special, isn't it? It's not like you're not just watching some video that somebody shared online. So it's really nice to be able to interact and be on live. And the reason why I want to do live is because of that interaction and because of the overabundance of scripted information out there, right? Like, believe me, guys, I used to edit my own movies. I know how to do that stuff. I don't have the time for it. As a matter of fact, if I have any editors out there, I do know editors, but they're professionals and they're busy a lot. But if I have any editors out there, I'm looking to try to piece together certain topics that I'm focused on, so that we can share, let's say, for example, a 3-minute blurb. What a horrible thing way to talk about my content here, right? But that we can share it, and it's a little more shareable because the hour shows that we're sending, sometimes people can't get it. Anna, welcome from Luxembourg. Welcome, Anna. We're getting people from around the world, so I'm so glad you're here. Yanley, excuse me. I'm sorry. Did I say something to make you throw up there? Great. Edward, welcome. Veronica, welcome. Heather. Dean, how are you, buddy? Hi, Tony. How's it going? Good to see you. And hi, Brandy. Welcome. And Brian, welcome as always. The great state of Michigan. And I think your governor's taking a turn there for the good instead of the evil. Hi, Patricia. Sean, good to see you, man. Lori, welcome. Thank you so much for spreading the word, guys. Judy, Scott, awesome. Brian, Janine, awesome, guys. Awesome. 107, Stephanie, welcome. Betty, hello. And Sharon, great to see you. I hear Trump called out Dr. Birx today and missed it. What did he say? Hi, Heather. Good to see you. Carlos, welcome. Guys, if you're new here, hi, Deborah. Welcome. Thanks for all your support, Deborah, and your shares. Hi, John. Welcome. Stephanie, Heather. If you want to say your first time, guys, Pat McGinn, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. Yeah, if you're new, please put that word out. And because we got some awesome veterans here that would be happy to, answer questions for you. I've got such an incredible group of people that you've just stepped into, and they're very, very supportive in many ways of me and the show and people that come on, because we really value people that are coming in and either they're seasoned awake or they're new to the awakening. You're welcome here because it's a safe place to just communicate and be respectful to each other. Canton, Ohio. I used to live in Coshocton. Hi, Sharon. Where do you go to donate? Thank you, Dee. TheIndoctrination.com. And I will say this, folks, that I do Venmo and I also do PayPal. And if you do the PayPal version, please put it down as a gift, because otherwise PayPal's getting a piece of everything we interact with. And Venmo, of course, is free. So I'd just like to see, I don't think that they're taking a very fair percentage of their transactions. So I just wanted to kind of be aware of that. Thank you, Dee, for that question. Todd, you and Rob, take it offline, fellas. Those guys are buddies from high school, as am I, so they're talking trash to each other. Mikey, Bill Cooper of 2029. Did you mean 2020 or 2029? Are you referencing me, because if you are, my friend, I take that as a great compliment. And even if you're not talking about me, I'm going to pretend you are and just take that. All right. Bill Cooper, guys, if you don't know Bill Cooper, get to know that cat. He was, he was speaking truth before speaking truth was cool. That's for sure. Yeah, I see a lot of likes going up of people that know him. Susan, gets so late on Central Time, so I'm glad you're here. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate that. Jamie, welcome. Awesome. And not tired, love the early session. Okay, great. Jean, welcome. Okay, guys. Yes, Sean, thanks for sharing the website, theindoctrination.com. Diane, welcome. And what do you say we get off to a start? If I missed you, Laurie Buren from Houston, Idaho. Buren, am I pronouncing that correctly? I love really unique names, so I want to be able to pronounce them. Dale, welcome. Hi. Hi, Susie from Missouri. Good to see you. And Danny and Ashley, welcome. Awesome. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Stephanie, hi. Yvonne, I'm sorry. Sometimes people throw that Y in there, don't they? Hi, Candy. Good to see you. Now we can start. Candy's here. The Candy has arrived. Candy's doing some great work out there, like so many of you are. Jamie, welcome. Kathy. 128, don't like your Pennsylvania Governor Wolf. We'll talk a little bit more about our leaders. Hi, Jerry. Welcome. Let's talk about Bill Cooper. I've shared some things about Bill Cooper on this show. Mikey, let me... I tell you what. You know what, Mikey? Why don't you drop one of your favorite topics that Bill Cooper covered, and see if you can come up with a topic that he covered that relates to what we're going through right now. And maybe I can touch on that because I know a lot about the man. Natasha, welcome. Susan, welcome, guys. Hey, Chris, welcome, buddy. Okay, so we're going to get started, guys. We've got 127 in here. Hi, Ashley. First time. Awesome. Welcome, first timers. Okay. So, thank you for the screenshot. We've had, guys, we've been getting up into the 400 and I think 62 was one of them the other night. And last night we had, I think it was 300 or, into the evening, into 2.5 hours. Band.video, that's a good spot for me, isn't it, Candy? I think what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to do Zoom and then I'm going to go into launch it to the different platforms, right? Then I'm not held hostage here on Facebook because I can't even make comments into all these groups that have invited me to join them. I can't even make contact with them via Facebook because I'm being censored. And I'm also hearing from you guys that you're having trouble sharing my videos because Facebook is censoring. So thank you for all that. God bless. Thank you, Rebecca. Welcome, guys. If I missed you, anybody here, forgive me. Latasha, welcome. You guys are welcome here. And I just want to share the following. Look at everybody. This is fantastic. Todd Boone, thank you, man. I just want to share a couple things. Yep, you're being censored, Todd. Guys, if you're being censored, just know this. You're doing some good work. Okay? Guess what? Guess what never gets censored? A picture of a latte. You're never going to get censored for a picture of a latte. So send all the lattes out there you want, folks. You're not going to get censored for a picture of your lunch. Okay? So if you're not being censored, do a little self-check, will you? Okay, as to what kind of content you're putting out there. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm giving you a hard time. I know a lot of people can't talk about a lot of the things that we talk about here because they use Facebook for business or their relationship in the community and things like that. So they try to get people here and there and share it to them and get them involved. But I will say this, that's shifting in terms of people are starting to realize, believe me, I could affect the business I do with this work, okay? But I'm taking a risk there, and I know I've lost business because of this work, but this work is more important than that business. Now that being said, that's why it's very helpful to get support from you all. And I just wanted to point out a few people and say thank you very much for your donation, Leah, from Leah's Business Services. Leah, I don't see your last name on here, so please share that with me. And I really appreciate your donation. And Donna Phillips, thank you. Gary Pate, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Linda Perry, thank you. Marty Poole, amazing. Corey Shelton, thank you, sir. I really appreciate you. Deborah Overfield, thank you. Susan Hopp, thank you. Is it Hop or Hope? It's 2 P's. I love that name. Jean Beljean, thank you very much. And forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it, because I know you and I need to pronounce that correctly. John McNamara, thank you. Guys, we're going to get started. Welcome. If you're new here, my name is David Snedeker. This is the Indoctrination. What we ask you to do is when you come here, imagine this is a place where you've showed up with a big coat on, full of ideas and beliefs, and it's a bulky coat, and we ask you to check it at the coat check, right? And get a ticket and come on in. Because when you check your ideas, your beliefs, your preconceived notions about things, we all have preconceived biases about certain things. You have a bias about a salt lamp. You have a bias about yellow roses. You have a bias about somebody that's wearing glasses, or somebody that's wearing a collar, sharing newsworthy information that doesn't have a tie on. Okay. We have these biases, and sometimes if we check those biases, we check those beliefs, and just know that we're going to be able to go back to them and come into an environment where you open yourself up for something completely new, or maybe something you already know, but it just allows you the freedom of new information. Okay? Do we have to hear the coat check every day? So here's the thing, Susie, yes, because there are new people here, and it is important to make sure that we do that as well. And here's the other thing. A lot of times I've checked my coat, but I need to check my t-shirt too, or I need to check some baggage that I have that I didn't realize that I should have just done away with, because that puts us in a place where we can be very receptive to new information. Okay, so thank you, everybody. So here we go. So when you share this, you can always tell people to go forward to like 4:15, right? 4:15, and then they can start watching and go from there. Okay, so. Yeah, and check your egos too, Justin. In that code check is also egos and that, because let's face it, when we do that, we just open ourselves up. Cui bono. Does anybody know what cui bono means? That's Latin, and I also want to get to the significance of this date. Okay, the significance of this date is. On April 18th, 1775, the Patriots, the Americans, the militia, knew that the British were coming to invade Boston, that they were going to try to take over Boston. And so they worked out a signal that that there were 2 lanterns in the North Church. Okay, and they worked out a signal of letting Charlestown know and letting the people know across the river how the British were going to attack. Okay, and 1, they were going to come across the bridges, and 2, they were going to come across by boat. And they couldn't even leave by the way, I have 2 lit right now. The 3rd is electric, but the 2 lit right here. Okay, because they lit both of them to let them know that they were coming by water, and it also allowed the militia to be ready and take them out. It was also followed by the midnight ride of Paul Revere. Okay, so Paul Revere rode through Boston letting people know, yes, one if by land, two if by sea. Thank you, Ann. That's what that comes from, right? And so Paul Revere let his people know, they let their people know by going up into the church and only having them on for a minute because they didn't want the British to know what they were doing, okay? And so, so then Paul Revere rode through the streets of Boston. Now, I greatly I honor Paul Revere in the following way, doing what I'm doing right now, because what he did was he shared with his fellow man and women that danger was coming, right, and to be ready. And not everybody took that information very well. He woke up some people, literally. You know, they were sleeping, and he comes riding through screaming out, you know, the British are coming. So they, you know, some people went back to sleep. Some people were upset. Oh, that, you know, who was that, you know, making all that racket, right? But the whole idea is to let them know, one if by land, two if by sea. That was the message by the lanterns sending to the Patriots that the British were coming by the sea, by the water. So, thank you, Justin. So yes, you are. We all are. So the value in that is that, you know, he got everybody ready. And when you're ready, when you're prepared, when you can anticipate what's coming, it makes it that much easier to navigate what's coming. So it wasn't that he was riding around spreading fear. I'm not riding around spreading fear. I'm doing what he did in the sense that I'm just letting you know what's coming as best I can. And if I can let you know what's coming, and you can let your friend know what's coming, and your family know what's coming, in a way that is like hopeful. Like, I'm not letting you know what's coming because we're going to get our butts kicked, okay, or that we're going to get our freedoms taken away. I'm letting you know what's coming because we can counteract anything like that happens if enough people know about it, and if we share this. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. And so, see, the key to battle, and George Washington knew this, and he was one of our greatest generals we ever had, and it is the reason why we're not bowing to the monarch. George Washington, above all traits, his number one trait was information. He had spies in the British government that he had infiltrate. He always knew what was coming. And that was the benefit to the revolutionary militia. And that single piece of information is the way that they defeated the greatest army ever assembled in the history of humanity, was the British Empire. And a bunch of ragtag individuals with guns defeated that great army. And it was because of the information. Now, fortunately, I don't have to ride through town on a horse. And the horse is very grateful for that because I'm about 245 pounds, okay? So it doesn't matter what horse I get on, I make them look like a donkey. And I look like a jackass. So I don't have to ride through town, right? Because I can come to you here and I can reach 157 people live right now. And guys, last night we were up in the 270s, 280s or something like that. By this morning, it was 3,500 people. The night before that was 462 people, And by the morning, it was 6,500 people had seen that video. Now, I'm not saying they're sitting through the whole thing, but that's okay. What if they get just a piece? What if they get just the Hegelian dialectic? What if they get just the piece about the connection with Fauci and all through the gates and all that? What if they get just the piece of, it doesn't matter if Q and Donald Trump are going to step up and make this all happen. We are. Because we know too much to allow them not to, or to allow ourselves not to. So what if they're just catching little tidbits like that? That's okay. I mean, ideally, I've got you for the length of time because it's a great interaction, and I think, well, I know based on the feedback I'm getting from you folks that I'm connecting with you in a way that is meaningful. And that, more than anything, brings me joy and brings me purpose and brings me satisfaction that, you know, what I'm saying is being received. And know that what you're saying is being received too. And I may not be able to get back to all of you, but the information you're giving me is key. So back to the Paul Revere, bring it to today. Bring it to today. You see, if you found yourself being pulled back and forth, thank you, in this storm, come into the eye of the storm with me. This is the eye of the storm. This is a safe place. This is a respite, if you will, from the nonsense that is being pervaded 24/7. Okay? Think about going back to Ted Turner and CNN, which was a CIA operation. The beginning of CNN was to televise the Iraq War, Desert Storm. And they went 24/7. Who can remember drifting off to sleep in front of the television as the jets soared across the sky and the flag waved in the air, the American flag, and the Star-Spangled Banner played as the ABC, CBS, and NBC closed their doors for the evening, and we had peace until morning, when the Mockingbird media anchors would start the day again. So now we have 24/7 media bombarding us. Guys, we can't even go pump our gas without a television screen, scripted information manipulating us for something, for some purpose. Yeah? So the information is key. George Washington, it was the number one benefit to this ragtag militia, was the information they had about the British. Because they found a lot of British soldiers really didn't like working for the king. Really didn't think that the king's rules should apply to this new colony, and didn't like the fact that this monarch was enslaving humanity and physically taking taxes away from them, taking money from them. Okay, so. Yeah, do you like your gas? Join our rewards program. Give us your personal information. You'll be able to get a penny off each gallon of gasoline. So the problem with the information today is it's their information. It's the information that serves them. Who are they? Cui bono? Cui bono? Who benefits? Who benefits from the information you're receiving? And if you can't answer that right away, I would challenge you to check and see if it is serving you. Is it serving you emotionally? Is it serving you mentally? Is it serving you spiritually? Or are you even noticing this information? because we've become so desensitized to it. I've literally gone to friends' homes and we're having a conversation, but the game's on in the background or the TV's on, but we're not watching it. And I'll ask them to turn it off because it didn't bother them, because they're desensitized, they can block it out, but they're not blocking it out. That's the problem. The subconscious can't block things out. So the information that's coming is subconscious. Every commercial that is designed, I used to write scripts, I used to create content meant to manipulate emotions through motion picture. The most scripted, the most produced, the highest dollar amount produced content on the planet are commercials, because they got to get you in 30 seconds. Now they got to get you in 15 seconds. Boom. And half the time they know you're not watching it. So they got to put it in there somehow. They got to get it in there. So I challenge you, is what the information you're getting serving you? Because if George Washington got information that, that was faulty, he would have lost his battles. We would have lost the Revolutionary War. And we would presently be under the monarch. Because once you lose a battle like that, it's really hard to get it back. So, where's your information? What is it? Is it serving you? Cui bono? Who benefits? This information that I'm giving you, this time that we are spending together, if it does not benefit you, please be on your way. Because I don't want to do anything that could harm you or that doesn't serve you. If you find this is bringing you down and it's not keeping you in a high vibration, I get that. This isn't for everybody. Some people aren't ready for what I talk about. And that's okay. That's your evolution. That's your journey. I'm not going to judge another person's journey. And that's what we find with a problem online with this anonymity of how people are treating each other. People are treating each other like they'll never see him again. People are treating each other like they're less than them. Somebody that knows something, when your plumber comes to fix your toilet, does he make you feel bad for not knowing how to fix a toilet? Somebody comes and prunes your trees, do they make you feel bad for not knowing how to prune your trees? No, that's their livelihood. They're there to serve you. They're there to serve a purpose. And that's why I'm here. Because the 13 years of deep research, I am now in a position where I can serve my fellow human in a way that I was meant to do. And the more that I can do that, and the more that I can sustain myself with that, I think we both win. If we look at the information today, the mainstream media, people are turning off the television. They're running from the mainstream media. Donald Trump, our president, disassembles the media on a daily basis. And the media writes about how he's trying to silence them. Not the case. He knows much, much more than we think he knows. What he chooses to do with that is still up for some debate or some speculation. But he has proven that he knows more than everybody thinks he does. I told you about underestimating. The press has underestimated him. The Democrats have underestimated him. The Republicans have underestimated him. The American people have underestimated him. And not only have they underestimated him, they've underestimated those who support him and really believe that he's doing good and that he is wanting to serve us. Now, if you follow me, you know that this is not a Donald Trump commercial. I have challenged him on GMOs. I have challenged him on his comments about vaccines and the fact that he's allowing vaccines to be forced, okay, state to state. I've challenged him on his comments about 5G, 6G, and all that, okay? I challenge him on some of the things that are going on in Israel, all right? I think he's a little too close to Netanyahu, all right? And certainly his son is, or his son-in-law. So if you follow me, you know that I don't carry water for anybody. And if Donald Trump was here, I would have that same conversation with him. I'm not a giddy schoolboy. But I also am quite aware of, and of course I'm aware of some of his infidelity and some of his misogynistic ways that MLK, JFK, or name me somebody, some significant historical figure that had Thomas Jefferson, sleeping with his slaves, and folks, we're at a level now where we can't be expecting some kind of choir boy to step up and deliver for us, because that is not the reality of our present day scenario. So I'm certainly not carrying water, but I'm also quite aware of the level of performance that he has stepped into to the benefit of our population and ideally the world. Okay? Excuse me one second. I am being called. Pardon me. And I'm back. Walter Cronkite never had to deal with this. Of course, I don't work for the CIA like he did. So, thank you guys. So here we are. We're in this present day scenario where that was a commercial. Yeah, it was a commercial for salt lamps, right? And yellow roses. So I got to get a sign I can put up, when I leave. So here we are in this present day scenario. And how are we engaging with the information that we're provided? Because the information that we're getting needs to serve us. And if that information is causing us to be in fear, or is causing us to be off balance, be in our right brain, emotional, reactive, scared, the whole bit, we have to understand that that is the intention of 94% of all media that we're exposed to. And what I said was that we are exposed to. I try to keep that exposure in the coat check room as much as possible. And I'll let a little out just to get a glimpse of it and see that how things are operating. But the key to all this is that we are now seeking our own information. No ginger tonight. A little Izzy, all right, and a little carbonated water. So the Rob Liberace never used his influence on women. Neither of you, Rob. Fortunately for the women. So at any rate, so here we are, right? So this information is flying our way, and what are we doing with it? So I want to talk about the significance of the engagement that leads to disengagement. Now, if you look at voting, for example, that's a perfect example of engaging our action, okay? So then we disengage. Oh, I did that. I took care of that. Now we disengage. We can go on about our business. And then we wonder why things are so screwed up, right? So when we engage, there needs to be follow-up engagement, right? We can't just engage and then shut it off and disengage. And that is, when all this is going to come out, and we see all of this, when we see all this play out, and we see what's been happening on this planet without our knowledge, okay, then we're going to ask ourselves and each other, how did we let this happen? How did we I'll give you one example. How did we let the pharmaceutical companies get so much power? How did we let the pharmaceutical companies have the biggest, most expensive lobbyists paying our congressmen and our senators and our presidents and our local representatives more money than we give them as campaign donations to coerce them to write laws for them that they don't even have to write? They just push it through. They read it maybe, or their staff reads it. I worked on Capitol Hill. I've seen how this works, guys. I worked for a senator from Iowa. And it is ugly. You've got the constituents writing letters. In this day and age, emails, the whole bit, coming from this direction. And you have the senator or the congressman or whoever. So you have one ear in this direction, but then you've got the other ear in this direction. But who are the ones that are having lunch with the senator? Who are the ones that are going on vacation or, giving the money enough for vacation? It's the lobbyists. It's the pharmaceutical companies. It's all the big agriculture. It's all this. Who do you think they're going to move towards? Who do you think they're going to please? So if you look at that scenario, if you look at that system, we should not be surprised that our world has gone to hell in a handbasket and that we have lost control of our destiny. So taking a broad look at that has happened because we engaged, got them elected, and then disengaged. You know who's not disengaged? The pharmaceutical companies. The fast food company lobbyists. The milk lobby that wants to shut down small farms that produce raw milk, which is the only milk, if you drink milk, that we should ever drink. All those companies, all those corporations, they're the ones that are getting the lunches. They're the ones that are getting the ear of the senator, congressman, what have you, mayors. Our vote. Rob, good point. Our vote. Mark Twain grew up on the Mississippi, not far from a lot of us that are on this call, from Spring Patch, Illinois and Missouri and Iowa. So he grew up not too far from there. And Mark Twain said that if voting did anything, they wouldn't allow it. If voting made a difference, they wouldn't allow it. Right? So, but what if this vote we cast in 2016, what if that does make a difference? You see, they thought they had it locked up. They thought that they never thought Hillary would lose. We know that now. And we know why. Because they've rigged it. And they continue to rig it. And they continue to try to rig it. And that's why they're trying to take the quarantine all the way through to November. So that, and the scare all the way through to November. Because if they don't, do you think Joe Biden's going to beat Donald Trump? Who would go hungry for a day just to watch that debate? Okay? It's not going to be close, and they know that. Okay? The 16-year plan to ruin the country, Todd. Well, unfortunately, it's been much longer than that, right? It's been going back a long way to the Fabian Society, the late 1800s. Aldous Huxley, Eric Blair, George Orwell, they knew the game plan, and it was the slow creeping turtle of socialism that said move slowly and strike hard. The turtle was the logo of the Fabian Society, still is. And their shield is a wolf stepping out of sheep's clothing. A wolf in sheep's clothing is the premier secret society of the premier school, Eton College, in England, where all the prime ministers come through and all the world leaders, and they are the skull and bones of England. Yale. And that blueprint of the Fabian socialists was the worldwide spread of socialism. And it was begun in 1884 to carry forth a mission that existed even before that. Look at the 20th century. Look what socialism did in the 20th century. Russia. Socialism leads to communism. 60 million, Stalin, genocided. Mao Zedong, 45 million. Pol Pot, 1 million. Hitler, whatever that number was, it's being debated, contested, but it was a lot. Russia killing of the Germans after World War II and the raping. The wars that were created to try to usher in even more socialism. So you see, the Fabian Society, the turtle that moves slowly and strikes hard, is the absolute foundation of the control mechanism. Initiated, structured, fed by the people that have kept control of this planet for a very long time. But they can't do it without our consent. Okay? And that is what they're manufacturing as we speak. I do a whole bit on the website, theindoctrination.com. You'll see one of my videos there. You won't see my recent ones. If you want my recent ones, please go to my timeline and click a notification, although some people said that the notification's not working. And watch Edward Bernays and Sigmund Freud and Manufactured Consent. And it will blow you away. And it will, the reason I share those is because they are the foundation of the present that we now exist in. Without those, we would be a much different species right now. We would be a much higher evolved species than we are. But that keeps us under control. It keeps us under their thumb. So as you look at this coronavirus happening, it is happening from our disengagement. My purpose for this show is to create engagement. And I'd ask you this. I get a lot of questions from you guys. And you can throw some questions down here, certainly. And that is, when you go to ask a question, see if you can get the answer for yourself. But do it outside the mainstream media, because if you do it inside the mainstream media, you're not going to get the answer, the information that serves you as the general of your army, your family, your friends, your body, your mind, your spirit. So looking outside of that. Yeah, everyone's wearing a mask because of the disinfectants in the grocery store. Folks, please understand that everything that they are asking us to do is hurting our immune system. Ventilators. Your lungs were not meant to be pushed and pulled like this. That's why people are dying. Over 90% of the people are dying that are put on the ventilators. Don't breathe. Wear a mask. Well, that's giving you more CO2 in your lungs, causing dampness in your lungs, which could cause problems in the lungs to begin with. We're supposed to be breathing free air. And by wearing the mask, we're not interacting with others, and the distancing, the social distancing, we're not interacting with others that have germs that we haven't seen. If you have a family, you're getting the same germs every day from the same people. Well, your immune system already knocked those out, right? It's like, oh, knock that down, knock that down, knock that down. What else you got? What else you got? Well, there's nothing coming. Excuse me, because of the social distancing, and because we're not interacting 6 feet from each other, I'm not getting your stuff for my immune system to knock out. They're not talking about vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin D as an immune building system. They're not talking about zinc or quinine. Okay? So they're not talking about any preventative, any immune building. And they're keeping us inside. They're keeping us from the beach and the parks and where we go out and get vitamin D. I'm repeating this for some of the veterans, but I think it bears repeating. Walking barefoot. Yeah. You gotta walk barefoot. You gotta be grounded. You gotta ground yourself to the earth. This is huge, right? And the hydrochloroquine and the Z-Pack, they were poo-pooing that. Folks, they knew about that in 2005. 2005, the NIH did the study of the hydrochloroquine and its benefit to knocking out the SARS virus. The NIH, where Fauci has been the head of for many, many years, and was at the time. Dennis Plummer shared that with me. And I already knew that there were some links back to it, but he linked it to that 2005 NIH study. And then Del Bigtree did it. I just shared that on my timeline if you want to check that out. That's really huge. Del Bigtree, the High Wire, is doing some phenomenal work, folks. For us. Okay? For us. So these things, we know that this whole link, and none of it makes sense. Fauci's saying not to use it. What do you mean not to use it? Do you know they just started a study of hydrochloroquine and Z-Pak? They just started a study. I'm sorry, you guys did it in 2005. You already knew about this. Okay? Who's going to pay for this? Cui bono, folks. Cui bono? Who benefits? That's the question that we can ask ourselves if we step away from the emotional, ping pong match that they've got us on from this politician, this network, da-da-da-da-da-da. It's a ping pong match, and we are the ball. But if we can step away from this, if we can step away from the ping pong match and just watch, we can see how ridiculous it is. And we can see and ask the question, who benefits from this whole thing? Deborah, FEMA, under some laws that were written at the time of Jimmy Carter in 1979, handed over under certain executive orders, and Carter was just one of the many puppets along the way, but that hands over control to FEMA during a time of national emergency. But what's happening is, what happened on 4/10/20, which was a big day that I told you guys about, and I didn't even realize it at the day, but on 4/10/20, Wyoming was the last state to call a national emergency. And then the War Production Act kicks in, and President Trump is in charge. So we're in pretty good shape right now. Now, where do we go? Where do we go from here, right? Well, we've given up our sovereignty, right, Justin, over this hoax. So, I just cannot live amongst these evil manipulators. Shana, yeah, it's very frustrating, yeah? Okay. These manipulators either get you through their manipulation, or they get you because you're not manipulated and you can't believe they're getting away with the manipulation. So do you see how they get you either way? So how do we do it? How do we do this so that we don't let them win either way, right? And that's when we step back from it and we ask, cui bono? Who benefits? Right? So then you're in your power. My mission here is to repower you. Empower would connotate that I have a power I'm giving you. No. You have the power. You have the power. That's why they have to manipulate you. They have to manipulate us because we are so powerful. So we need to repower, but it's hard to do when we're the ping pong ball. So step back, ask who benefits, start to look at it analytically, and understand that we are in a present-day false flag, the largest false flag that has ever been perpetrated among humanity. And the reason that they are doing it is to, and I go back to last night's show, December 15th, China signed a deal with the United States, the trade deal, which they kept pushing back, remember? Pushing, we'll do it after, and Trump let them do it. But they saw what the tariffs were doing to their country. And so December 15th, they signed the new trade deal with Trump, which meant trillions of loss over many years and the devastation of the Chinese economy. But the clause in there was that if an act of God happens or a pandemic, they don't have to follow through on that trade deal. But here's the thing about that. December 15th is when they signed it. November 7th was the first case of the coronavirus in China. They knew this was a problem. Why did they know? How did they know? Because they created the problem. Who was the reporter today that asked, or was it yesterday, asked President Trump about the $3.7 million that the U.S. government gave to a lab in Wuhan, China? And he knows about it. He knows about it, folks. And because he knows about it, do you think there's going to be hell to pay? See, the people who have been in control of this planet for so long have not quite yet figured out that all the technology that they've created to spy on us, to listen, to watch, to monitor our location, where we go, to then sell all that information to the highest bidder so that we are manipulated even further for cui bono, the benefit of those manipulating us through commercials, through texts, through phone calls, through, Facebook popping up on, an ad on Facebook or whatever. So what they failed to realize is that that technology that they have used for the demise of humanity, the lack of privacy in humanity, is being turned against them. You see, we can turn this manipulation back right onto them. We can turn this, we know everything. We know the emails. We know the Podesta emails. We know how it links everybody. Steyer, the Steyer that what's his name, just hired, Newsom just hired to come in and help California get back on track. He was in one of the Podesta emails about pedophilia. So, do you see that the people that have been controlling us, manipulating us, we know everything. We know about Podesta, we know about Clinton, we know about Obama. The FISA subpoenas, those have already happened. The FISA is going to take out the top players of the Obama administration, including James Clapper, the head of the intelligence, and John Brennan. See, they never thought that Hillary would lose. And because she did, Hillary, in her own words, according to a staffer, said, if Donald Trump wins this presidency, we'll all hang. Why do you think we haven't had a federal death penalty since the 70s? Nobody has been killed at a federal level since the 70s. Why do you think Barr, in July of 2019, sought to bring that back? You think it was just on a whim? You think it was just, it was ticking off a to-do list? Why do you think he did that? And she said, all of Washington down with her. We'd all hang. You see, he did that because they're going to need it. Because he knows how many people are eligible for that death penalty. But then a judge blocked that, a Clinton holdover, and said, no, that's not okay. It's not constitutionally, this and that, blah, blah, blah. After I showed you that text of Donald Trump, who's talking to the children of the little leaguers and saying you'll be back playing baseball, da da da, and bats will be swinging. 2 days after I showed you that, the judges 2-1, two Trump appointees against a Clinton appointee, 2-1 ruling said that the federal death penalty has now been reinstated. You see, there have been people that have been doing bad things for a very, very, very long time. Now they're going to be taken out of society. And when they're taken out of society, we are going to see a consecration of this planet unlike anything we've experienced before. And that consecration is going to bring in an entirely new era, an entirely new frequency that has been held down, has been suppressed for millennia. That's exciting to me. We're going to go through some tough times before we get there. Because the first thing that's going to happen is that we're going to see just how badly we have been lied to. And that's not going to feel good. And many of you already know. Paradigm shifts, Stacy, yes. Yeah, Obama's Secret Service name is Renegade. They choose their Secret Service name. Look up Renegade. Get rid of the reptilians. Folks, these are really, really, really bad people that worship Satan. This is a spiritual war. Make no mistake about it. No matter what your beliefs, please check them at the code check. You're safe here. But please understand that what's happening before us is a spiritual war against the satanic cult, which has been in control of this planet for a very, very long time. And we see it. Q said, the QAnon movement, Q said, symbolism will be their downfall. And symbolism is all over the place. There is symbolism in the music. There's symbolism with the musicians. There is symbolism in the politicians. There is symbolism in the pizza restaurants. There's symbolism in the emails that use code words that the FBI has a list for of connections to pedophilia. Guys, they've destroyed themselves with their own words. That's what you have to understand, is the NSA has turned good. There are good people in the NSA, starting with Admiral Mike Rogers, that told President Trump that he was being spied on. General Flynn is one of the good guys. That's why they tried to take him out. And these guys know. The WikiLeaks, Julian Assange. Why do you think Julian Assange is still locked up in a British prison? Why do you think he's still locked up? Because he is very dangerous. Chelsea Manning's still locked up because very dangerous. And they're trying to bring Julian Assange down with him, with this whole thing. They're trying to get Chelsea Manning to testify that WikiLeaks was the one that was involved with this, because they want to take WikiLeaks down. And she will not do that. And as a result, being persecuted. What does it say about us when we allow that to happen? How do we engage? How do we engage in a way that stops that from occurring? Because this engagement, this is why this engagement is so very vital. Many years from now, we're going to have a conversation about this moment in time. What did you do during the Great Awakening? What did you do when there were children that were missing by the hundreds and hundreds of thousands every year? Did you go to a ball game? Did you go to a concert? Did you have a great meal with friends? All those are important. But the new paradigm I'm talking about is we're going to do those. And we're going to know that children aren't being harmed, that their innocence isn't being ripped from their souls by horrible, horrible human beings. And we are going to enjoy that meal so much more. We're going to enjoy that concert so much more. The ball game so much more. Our children so much more, knowing that other children aren't suffering. See, most people don't feel like they can do anything about this. And I'm here to tell you that you can. I can. We can. And all it takes is connecting with each other. Share Del Bigtree's story today. Share other things that my people are posting on my timeline. It doesn't even have to be this video. Find something significant that inspires you and share that. And engage in conversation. And fear not where that conversation or what that conversation may lead. How many of you started a conversation about awakening with somebody that you didn't think were on board with that? And now you have a whole different relationship, right? Because it's like, you too? Oh, you too? Oh, wow, okay. You follow Q, you follow, Trump, you're on board with Trump. Boom, yeah, boom, boom, boom. And that connection, that relationship is a whole different story. I mean, I think about the people that I kind of fought and tried to turn for years, that I have let go, or they've let me go on Facebook, or I don't see them anymore. At first, it was a loss. But now look at this. I have new friends. And those new friends respect me. Those new friends think that what I have to say is pretty important. Because I've always known what I have to say is very important. And when we have that feeling and nobody's there to hear it, boy, that's a lonely journey, isn't it? So we've got to find the people that we resonate with. And I'm not talking about resonating with conspiracy. I'm talking about resonating with truth. That's it. We don't need anything else. Resonating with truth is so magnificently uplifting. It's incredible, right? Because we can be ourselves. How many times do we go into a situation where we can't be ourselves? How long do you think we're going to be on this planet? How much longer are we going to step into situations where we aren't free to speak our mind and our heart and our spirit? What kind of existence is that? See, I've always been a guy who's been very, very open and very honest without a governor. And I'll say things that people will think are outrageous. And I'll say things to people that most people would never say to people. But here's the thing. Most of the time, 99.9% of the time, it will be a great connection and a deeper connection and a more meaningful connection. Why? Because before I did that, I created rapport with that human being. And we've lost the art of creating rapport with others. But once you create rapport with somebody, there's a trust there, there's a connection there. And then you can push that envelope of that connection in a way that they know you're just trying to make them laugh or trying to give them a hard time or trying to make them, feel funny or whatever, So there's that connection. And I want that for humanity. Because we've gotten away. The reason why I love comedians is because comedians are so brash, right? They're so outspoken. They'll say something that is completely outrageous. Unfortunately, we've lost the Richard Pryors, the Lenny Bruces, the George Carlins. They've gone away. And what's replaced them, unfortunately, are the Jimmy Kimmels and the Jimmy Fallons and the Stephen Colberts. And while you might think, wow, those guys are talented, those guys are funny, yeah, they are. I think Jimmy Fallon is one of the most talented guys to come along in a very, very long time. I think Stephen Colbert has got an incredible wit. But here's the problem. They're selling drugs. They're selling bad food. They're selling things that are not beneficial to humanity. Every time they break for commercial, 33% of every dollar spent through their network is from the pharmaceutical company, at least. And those same channels are the ones that are telling you how we should be acting during this virus. And boy, can't wait for that vaccine. That vaccine, folks, will be the downfall of our species, just like the others before them have. Because in that vaccine is not only the mercury and the aluminum that is highly affected by the 5G towers. The 5G towers are very, very dangerous. They've already been proven to be weaponized against human beings. They've already done those tests. Had a guy call in last night, Chad. I think, Chad, you're on here. And Chad went to Marine Base in Georgia and found out that they were doing these 5G tests, and a church very close by that had a funeral, over like 90% of the people there contracted coronavirus. And we know about Wuhan, we know about the rollout of the 5G, and we also know about the rollout of the vaccines, which China mandated in 2019. Yeah, thin the herds, Peter. See, eugenics is on their plan. Eugenics is part of that Fabian Society turtle, move slow and strike hard. It's the wolf in sheep's clothing. Do you get that analogy? The wolf in sheep's clothing. The wolf dresses up as a sheep and gets into the herd. And when the time is right, strikes and pounces on and kills half the herd. That's the wolf in sheep's clothing. That's Bill Gates. That's Anthony Fauci. That's Tedros of the WHO. That's Xi in China. Okay? All these people that, cui bono, who benefits? Look who benefits. Back full circle. Hi, darling. That's sweet. So, thoughts, questions. That's kind of, I don't know what I'm going to say. I honestly don't. When I sit down, I think about a general topic that I want to cover. And I do want to cover one other thing, actually, before I take questions. But then I just kind of roll with it. But isn't that how communication is supposed to happen? Don't you know when you sit down with somebody and they start talking, don't you know like immediately they have an agenda? Rather than just going and hanging out with a friend or meeting somebody new and things just kind of flow, right? They just kind of flow together like one topic to another to another. That's communication. If I come on here with a script, well, you're used to that. Quite honestly, some of you might want more of that. It's not going to come here, right? Calmunication, Peter, is that because I'm in California? I hope you're early on, stay longer. You know what, Mary? Yeah, I'll hang out. Yeah, I'd like to stay longer if you guys would like to. And I'll get into some of the things you guys are asking. And so I'll go back through and I'll ask questions. And if you asked a question like way back when, if you would ask it again, and then I'll go through. I love all the hearts that you guys want me to hang out. That's pretty cool. So let me say this last thing, and I want to address it. And you guys know that the past couple days I haven't gotten into a lot of specifics. Okay. But by the way, let me just share that lovely picture with you there. Okay. There you go. Look where his hand is, folks. She was 17. Okay. Do you know that that yesterday the actress from Smallville, she was found guilty of trafficking, prostitution, and even underage girls. The female She's Miley Cyrus. She's a Disney actor, folks. Look at all the Disney actors. Look at all the Disney actors. It doesn't end well for them because they are MKUltra slaves. And I'll get Allison Mack. Thank you, Brian. And I'll get into MKUltra. Somebody just asked that. I'm sorry, but that wasn't what I was going to show you. But what's going on? And by the way, Epstein's alive. There's no question in my mind that he's still alive, and that he's providing intel because he would have had a kill switch. And if he died, because that's what kept him alive all this time, was a kill switch. Because if something happens to you, you've got somebody or some system that if you don't check it in and put a password in, boom, it blows up the internet with all the names of all the people and all the videos and all the pictures and all the dirt on everybody. That's what's kept him alive. That's what's kept him alive all this time. So for the fact that he died and that didn't show up told me that he did not die. Okay, so let me say this last thing, and then I'm going to get into your questions. So if you would hold off on your questions just for now, and what I'll do is I'll go back through a few of them, and then I'll go to the more recent ones. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about is that the Q posts have been very unique. But one of them I wanted to say in particular, and Todd, thanks for bringing that to, actually it was Darren. Darren brought that to my attention this morning. Who saw the Q post of the harvest, of the harvest, the picture of the cornfield that had been harvested? This you would find on qmap.pub, folks. Okay. And so basically there was a picture of a cornfield that had been harvested. Now, what's important to understand is that Q communicates in a very, very unique and cryptic way. And there's a lot of numerology involved. There's a lot of gematria involved. One of the sites that is incredible is And We Know. And a gentleman by the name of LT does a phenomenal show over there. But it's a little bit, it's off the charts. It's like another level. So you know, it may not be for the early on folks, but Q communicates very cryptically. And is in communication with President Trump. I'm going to sit back here with you guys and kind of dial in here a little bit. And so what happens then is that when he communicates, Q posts are not on Twitter, but people will share Twitter. Praying Medic does a nice job with the Q posts on Twitter. Praying, like I'm praying, and Medic. Okay? So yeah, Gary. So Gary, you bring up what is very, very important, and that is that in the IG report, which was the IG report was kind of this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do with, this is what these people did. We think that this is what these people did, and it was either right or it was wrong and so forth, and whether or not we should prosecute for that work. So Michael Horowitz did this IG report and he submitted it. And throughout the IG report, what was very, very interesting was that they misspelled James Comey's name. And they spelled his name corny. Okay? Corny. And we know, Brian, just type in what you just typed into YouTube. Okay? And let them know I sent you. Please let these people know that when I share this, please let them know I sent you, because I want to connect with these guys, because I want to be on their show, have them on my show. I'm going to be doing Zoom very soon, so I'll be able to have guests that their faces are up and so forth. And so, welcome, Kevin. And so Comey's name was misspelled throughout the entire thing, and we're like, what the heck is that? Why are they saying Coney or what was it? Corny. I'm sorry. And here, I'm going to drop this down. Great book here, folks. How the World is Made, Sacred Geometry. This is a fantastic book about how the world was created through sacred geometric patterns. It's amazing. It's all mathematics, folks. The creation that we find ourselves in right now is complete mathematical formulas. That's why I believe that we were created by a highly, highly intelligent being or beings, right? So it was misspelled in executive docs too. So what that tells us is that, and QAnon said the corn has been harvested. Or no, he didn't even say that, did he? He just showed that the corn was harvested. He didn't even say it. So we're supposed to read into that, see? And so what we're reading into, Darren sent me this right away, was that talking about Comey. Comey's been harvested. He's been rounded up. And if you look on Twitter, Comey hasn't made a Twitter post for like 6 days. 6 days. He hasn't made a Twitter post. And he's normally chiming in pretty consistently. So what's going on there? Okay? So a lot of people think that the corn was harvested, right? And so a lot of people believe that James Comey's been apprehended. Now, we're expecting a very, hey, welcome, Ed. We're expecting a very big arrest soon. And some people think it's Obama. Other people, I think it's Comey. They have the most dirt on him. Some people think it's Hillary, but it's going to be somebody big, and that's going to start the domino effect of the following people as well, of all the administration, Clapper, Brennan, folks. They're all going down. They're all going down. I'm just looking up QMAP to see if I can bring it up for you guys. And I wanted to show you something that Darren brought up. Okay, so this is one I loved. Okay, and I'll get it so you can see that, guys. Let me know if you cannot see that, please. Okay. All right. So it says 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. Now I know it's backwards for you guys because of Facebook, and I hope that'll be resolved with Zoom as well. But I'm going to show you, just imagine this is backwards. And by the way, those are the 2 lanterns, right? In the North Church in Boston, right? That's what that represents. So Q is trying to engage us as well, folks. Q asks us questions so that we can go out and find the answers. Q doesn't give us the answers. Q only asks questions. And those questions have opened up an online revolution that is unlike anything we've ever seen. And this is called the Great Awakening. Where we go one, we go all. Okay? So up here in the upper top, right here, if you click on that, I don't think this one actually has anything. But, let me do this. I got this pen so that I can touch these little things. Is that going to work? And read. That's not working. There we go. No. All right, but touch that upper right thing. If you don't have hands the size of mine, it's a pretty big phone too. It's not like it's, and that's going to give you kind of a research summary of what's going on. Okay, so that'll dig in a little bit deeper. There's also a code that I'll show you guys later, but there's a way to search the codes, which is pretty important too. But qmap.pub, that will show you these things that are important to follow, but it's important to kind of have somebody that can kind of walk you through that. I will do that here. I'm just not, I don't get into it as much as some of these other guys. So, but I'll give you the general stuff, okay? But that's an example of a QAnon drop that, and here's one, and I'll read this one to you. It says, Q responds to a retired U.S. military. Ex-military here, Q. Please don't let us down. We were willing to die then and still willing to die now. Do us proud, please. And Q wrote back, for God and country, brother. Q. Okay? Oh, it did say the corn has been harvested in that other one. And that's the corn has been harvested one, by the way, guys. The corn has been harvested. Q just told us what we believe, that they have arrested James Comey. I want you to think about that for a second. Now, first of all, if they haven't arrested James Comey, please understand that he should be arrested. There is no question in my mind. You guys know me. I know a lot of stuff. I've researched this stuff very deeply. And there's not one person that knows what's going on here that won't tell you that James Comey should be under arrest as we speak. So it's not like, oh, they're arresting some guy for political reasons. That's the way the media will play it. But I will tell you this, that James Comey has committed treason and sedition against this country to the benefit of the deep state, 7th floor State Department, protecting of Hillary Clinton. The list goes on. But the biggest thing that they're going to get him for right away is that he signed 3 of the 4 FISA warrants that allowed them, the Obama administration, to spy on the president-elect at the time, Donald John Trump. They tried to subvert an American election, and then after he became president, they tried to subvert an American presidency and a president, and then tried to blame it on the Russians. See, the Russian collusion hoax that they perpetrated against all of us, and that's why people have been awakening to the mainstream media all along, folks. And please understand, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I don't know what I'd call myself, but I'm a Trumper. Because here's a guy that was going to come in, and neither the Republicans nor the Democrats wanted him to win. You remember that? Republicans didn't want him to win. Democrats didn't want him to win. Republican presidents that came before Bush, both the Bushes didn't want him to win. The media didn't want him to win. Hollywood didn't want him to win. China did not want him to win. And now we're seeing why. Because he negotiated an incredible deal for the United States of America and the people. And everybody before that had bowed to the Queen, had bowed to the Saudi Arabian king, had bowed to China, and allowed them to pay off their, the vice president's son, Hunter Biden, to the tune of $1.5 billion, and then they let things go on as they were. That they always have been, and that meant China raking us over the coals. Germany didn't want him to win. France didn't want him to win. Why? Because he was going to force them to pony up on NATO. He was going to force them to pay more money because the United States was carrying their weak ass. So none of those leaders wanted him to win. So what did I say? Sounds like my guy. Because all those people, none of them I would allow in my home. Hey, Dave, Merkel's in town. You want to have her over for dinner? Hell no. Hey, Tracy, welcome. All right, so that's my guy. Okay, so look what's happened. So Comey signed 3 of those warrants to allow the Obama administration to spy on this president, but the warrants were gotten fraudulently. John McCain was involved. A guy by the name of Steele was involved. An MI6 guy. And they created this dossier that was not truthful and had no foundation or evidence to it. So they fooled the FISA court. And that, my friends, is treason. That is sedition against a sitting president. And that death penalty will be enacted out on Mr. Comey. I'm going to talk like I'm Andy Griffith so that you guys all think I'm a good guy and I'm just, oh shucks, folks. I'm just here trying to do the right thing for the American people. And this Donald Trump, I tell you, he's not, wow. Folks, we got to have a new awards show and we got to pass out some more Oscars. Because that dude, man, he put on a hell of a show. Back in the day, they got away with this stuff. While we're on this topic, I'm going to answer your question, Deborah. Hillary's deleted emails. Okay. So let's not forget. You guys good? We're good. We've got 183 people. Well, how cool is this? Guys, we're filling a small theater here. Okay? I want you to imagine that we're in this like really cool little theater, right? We got some lights, maybe you got some wine, we got some drinks, right? And we just filled up this little theater tonight. How cool is that, right? We got out of the house. So what do I think about Hillary's deleted emails? Okay, so here's what's really important to know. And by the way, I've been talking about this stuff for a very long time. I mean, if you go back through my Facebook posts, you can go back to 2016, 2015, and that's how I was communicating. I wasn't communicating like this. But you can see, thank you, Betty, welcome. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. I am enjoying it as well. Happy hour, cheers. Cheers, everybody. Hey, here's to a new paradigm, yeah? A new paradigm that we are going to be engaged in creating for ourselves, for our family, for our friends, for our future. Cheers. I love you. So, anyone got any hammers? You know what? I'll get into that, Justin, as I tell this little story. Okay, so, yeah, let me tell you a story. How about story time with Uncle Dave, huh? A little story time. Just cozy up. So the story goes like this. Years ago, there was a documentary called Clinton Cash. If any guys have seen it, I believe his name is Peter Schweitzer. Please help me if that's off. Yes, I am concerned about voter fraud. But as we go through that Clinton Cash, the story is that the Clintons have been taking, it was a pay-for-play situation with the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton Global Initiative, and now we know that it goes much deeper into child trafficking, which is horrendous. And that's, a lot of them came out of Haiti, and that's why at least 3 reporters have been murdered in Haiti, okay? Some of this stuff is pretty serious and pretty important. And dangerous at the same time, because I don't know how long it's going to take before they put those people away, and get them out of the way. You've seen it, Susie? Good. But in Clinton Cash, she talks about how she doesn't want to communicate via emails because then the whole world will know. And she says, I'm certainly not going to do that. So what she did was she set up her own email server that was non-secured and actually has led to the deaths of CIA agents around the world, primarily in China, because the communication she did was not encrypted and the Chinese were able to hack it. As a matter of fact, not even able to hack it, she had you know how you have an automatic thing that forwards, okay? So every email she wrote had an automatic trip to a forward to a member of the Chinese Communist Party. So everything she was communicating, China knew about. So China had a huge strategic and lobbyist advantage over our Congress and over what was happening with our country, because Hillary Clinton's email chains were going to the Chinese Communist Party. Sounds like a novel, right? A spy novel. It's not. Okay. So what happened was that she had this whole system set up, and they didn't think it was going to be a problem. Why? Because Obama was aware of it, and the transfer, the passing of the baton was going to go between Obama and Clinton. They never thought she'd lose, okay? Because they had it rigged. They had it rigged. Yes, she sold us out to China, no question about it, many times. As has Dianne Feinstein, who had a Chinese spy as her driver for 20 years, folks. Remember what I said about George Washington having spies in with the British? Okay? That's what China has done. And not only have they done that, but they've got 1 million Chinese around the world in school, in our schools, in schools around the world, around the planet, with one job: to report back to the CCP and to work for the CCP. You see, China is hell-bent on world domination. That's something we need to understand. Back when they killed 45 million of their own people as recently as 1958 to 1962, they had a project called the Great Leap Forward. And I don't know about you guys, but I can jump a lot farther when I don't have that extra 20 pounds on me. I can jump a lot higher, too, when I don't have an extra 20 pounds on me. So they shed some weight back then, to the tune of 45 million people through starvation and through actual murder. That's why we always got to be concerned when you've got a governor of Michigan. That woman should never see the light of day, much less see another term in office. For stopping people from buying seeds? Are you kidding me? So please understand that is the most draconian to prevent human beings from being able to plant their own food is insane. That woman should be locked up tomorrow. So what happened was the Chinese did that great leap forward to try to dominate more production and manufacturing, and look what they did. They did that. And back in '83, I tell the story when I was on Capitol Hill and they were pushing for favored nation status, and I was against it because at the time they were enslaving, imprisoning, and murdering political dissidents from Tibet, from Taiwan. Their own people weren't letting them get out this stuff, and were literally killing them back then. And guess what? The lobbyists were saying to our senators and our congressmen, we got to give them favored nation status. Why? Because people wanted to do business with them because they had 1 billion people. So that's when it all began. But now China has been working on a new project like that, called the One Belt, One Road Initiative. And what they've done is they have given money to leaders around the planet to allow them to connect and to use the trade routes. See, they're opening up the old silk trade route of the olden days. They've got this incredible production machine in China, and then boom, they're spreading out all their goods around the world, all their junk, by the way, including Highway, which is the maker of the 5G towers. That President Trump said, no, you're not doing that. Why? Because there's backdoor technologies to that can allow them to infiltrate us even more than they already have. But here's what's important to understand about that One Road, One Belt initiative is that they need the buy-in from all these companies. Do you know that they owned most of the international seaports in our country? Until President Trump said, no. People don't even understand the benefit that we have received as a nation by having this man as our president. If he didn't do another thing, we have benefited greatly. But he's got to finish the job. Because if he doesn't finish the job, he doesn't follow through on one of his promises, two of his promises. One was drain the swamp, and two was lock her up. Those were two promises. And so far, in case I'm missing something, he has fulfilled all of his promises. So back to the China situation. They have infiltrated Clinton, Feinstein, Pelosi, all these different people, and that gives them a huge advantage. But Donald Trump comes along and he throws a huge wrench into the works, right? So, excuse me. So Clinton was CCing every one of her emails to the Chinese Communist Party. When we found out about that, how did we find out about that? There was a gentleman whose name I couldn't mention a year ago, and I could probably mention it now, but I'll say it in two different stages so it doesn't get picked up on the bots. His first name is Seth, and the second part of his name is Rich. So Seth Rich was a young man in Washington, D.C. who worked for the Democrat National Committee. Seth Rich was a patriot. You see pictures of him with red, white, and blue, like my hat, you know. Just the guy he was a patriot. When he worked, he was an IT guy. When he went to work for the DNC, he found out that that the DNC was subverting money that was meant to go to the Bernie Sanders campaign. They were sending the money to her campaign. Well, I separated his name because if a human being's watching it, they're going to flag this. But if I separate it, a bot won't. You see the difference? So they probably got humans watching it, watching my stuff by now anyway. Hey, you guys doing? Hey, hope you're enjoying your paycheck as you sell out humanity. Yeah, go ahead and flag me. Go ahead and knock me off as you sell out your fellow humans for a paycheck, just like the Nazis did, just like the SS did. Great American. So he basically took a zip drive, and he also got Hillary's emails. He took a zip drive, and he gave it to Julian Assange of WikiLeaks. And Julian Assange published those emails. And about the same time, I think it was about the same time, somebody hacked John Podesta's emails. And so here, WikiLeaks is publishing Clinton's emails, the DNC's emails, and John Podesta's emails. And in their own words, they implicated themselves in mass. Hey, Sean, how are you, man? Welcome. They implicated them. Thank you, Rebecca. They implicated themselves. You got a lot of spring patch in the house, Sean. They implicated themselves in multiple crimes against humanity and multiple crimes against our nation. WikiLeaks published those. That's why Julian Assange is sitting in a prison right now, because of that. Now, the emails of John Podesta actually came out a few days later. And in one of the emails from John Podesta, he said that 253 people, this is awesome, folks, welcome. Welcome. My name is David Snedeker. This is the Indoctrination. This is my little show that I do, talking about a lot of the things that really matter, and you're in a room with a lot of fantastic people right now that are chiming in, and you're welcome. We're very respectful to each other here. We learn a lot of stuff. We check our ideas, our beliefs, our preconceived notions at the coat check, and come on in and just be open to learning something new and hearing something different. So John Podesta wrote in an email, he said, whoever did this, whoever leaked the emails, needs to be, we need to set an example. Okay, that was an actual email from John Podesta. I can't remember who he sent it to. If you guys know, please link that. Love you too, Kimberly. Thank you, Beck. That's wonderful. Thank you, Elise. So when he wrote that email, I think it was, the specifics aren't that important, but within 2 days, Seth Rich was gunned down in Washington, D.C. The police said that it was a robbery, but he had his cell phone, his wallet, and his watch on him. I've also heard that he was speaking on the way to the hospital, and then he died once he was in the hospital. I've also heard that the doctors in that hospital were not allowed to go see him, and that they closed off that section of the hospital. I've also heard that Donna Brazil was in that hospital. I've also heard that the director of that hospital's wife worked as a professor with John Podesta at Georgetown. The connection of that evening, the cameras that the police were wearing, to this day, they have not allowed us to see those cameras. I thought that was for our protection. Yeah, he was shot from behind. So they made an example of him, folks. And that poor young man died that evening. And then they intimidated his family. Do you remember when Sean Hannity was asking a few questions about Seth? Do you remember they sent him home? He almost got fired. That's why you can't trust Fox, folks. You think you got a good channel with Fox? You don't. You don't. They're one end of the spectrum of the manipulation spectrum. Okay? They are what we call controlled opposition to the far left. Now, you're going to get some benefit from watching some Fox once in a while because they have guys on like John Solomon. And if you want a real journalist, johnsolomonreports.com. And they have Sarah Carter on, and she's fantastic. And these are people that really do investigative reporting, right? So please check that out. But please know that once they killed Seth Rich, they set the example, okay? and all the things that surround Seth Rich. If you think I'm spouting some conspiracy theorists, go check into it for yourself. But I wouldn't recommend necessarily getting into that now, and here's why. Because we got bigger fish to fry right now. Seth Rich will be honored, certainly by me and many, many people that I know, and a lot of people here. We will honor Seth Rich. We honor him now. And I'd like to make a toast to him. And I don't care if I said his name multiple times. All right? Cheers, Seth. Thank you for your patriotism and your duty. By the way, we know, so their story was, how did they get those emails? How did WikiLeaks get those emails? Cheers to Seth. How did they get those emails? Solomon is truth. Yes, Gary. Good catch. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. You always put a smile on my face, Gary, every time I think about you, man. Friend from high school, guys. So why is that? Why they went right away. How did they get those emails? The Russians hacked the DNC. The Russians didn't hack the DNC, folks. The hack has already been investigated by Bill Binney and two other sources, Kim.com, that the download speed of the data that was given to WikiLeaks can be seen. That download speed could not happen over a telephone wire, a Fios, or a cable connection. Certainly not coming from the Ukraine. The only way to have that kind of a download speed was through a direct connection of a USB into the computer, into the server that information was downloaded from. See, there's a lot of people much smarter than us that can figure this stuff out. And when I say smarter, I'm talking about from a technological standpoint. So they already figured that out, okay? So the Russian collusion hoax was there for two things. It was to cover up the assassination of this man, and it was to divert your attention away from the actual emails that indict them, that implicate those people, and put your attention on where they came from Russia, and that Russia interfered with this election. And they played that for, some people still believe that Russia interfered in our election. Do you know that? And how do they know that? They know that. Welcome, Manoj. Welcome. Another friend of yours, Deborah? Awesome. How do they know that? Well, because we hear it. We still hear it. We still hear it. The media has just perpetuated. And it's been totally discounted as any evidence whatsoever. That was to try to take out Donald Trump. Just like the impeachment, just like everything else. They've tried to impeach him multiple times. Lorraine, welcome. Hey, somebody from Boston. Fantastic. So the Hillary Clinton, so they to find the actual emails, to go even deeper into the emails, they needed Hillary Clinton's server. That's what they did bleach bit on. That's what they erased. That's what they destroyed. They destroyed all the phones. They destroyed all the devices that her private email chain was on. Unfortunately for her, we already had that information. And we have it now. Also, unfortunately for her, Anthony Weiner, who is Huma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's right-hand gal, Anthony Weiner was married to her, and he's a pervert, and he's a pedophile, and he sent a dick pic to a 15-year-old girl, and so they seized his server, and they had sensitive information from Hillary's server on her server, and he happened to have on his server a little file called life insurance. And on that server, that life insurance, there was some very, very damning evidence against Mrs. Clinton. And I want to stop there on that topic because of the nature of it, and I don't want to bring us all down, but she's not a good person, and she's going away, as is her husband, as is everybody associated with that level and that level. And people like Seth Rich and the people that have reported on the happenings of Haiti and all that, they'll be vindicated. We'll honor them. We will honor them. What's the sad video? Is it this one or something else? It's got all the video. That video. It's called Frazzle Drip, folks. If you want to look into it, and it's a video of Hillary and Huma and a young girl, and it's the NYPD had gotten a hold of it, and by the way, almost every single NYPD police officer who had access to that is now dead. Yeah. Many will be going away. Yes, Judy. Let's pray for that. Let's pray for all the people that have already gone away who tried to do the right thing and were, taken out because of it. So let me go to Mkultra. Somebody had asked that question, and bring your name up again. That way I don't have to go way back. Oh, by the way, yeah, Donna, thank God for Tom Fitton and Judicial Watch. We would never know all this. Now, I knew about it without Fitton, but he's bringing it to the masses, and he's also bringing it to court. Tom Fitton at Judicial Watch is one of my favorite people on the planet. Please go check him out. They are doing the work that the government should be doing in bringing Hillary Clinton to justice. He's doing amazing work. He's doing amazing work over there. Thank you, Tom, and we salute you for the work that you're doing. Yeah, if it's all stored at the NSA, why is there any hesitation? It's kind of like, that's a great question, Darren, right? It's like, it's like the sealed indictments. There's 190,000 sealed indictments. Why haven't they acted upon them? Well, they've acted on a lot of them. But with a sealed indictment, you want to make sure that you get everybody lined up so that when you go get one person, you don't lose the other five, right? That's the only way I can figure out why. Who's this speaker? Never heard of him till today. Hi, Kathy. Welcome. My name is David Snedeker, and I've been doing videos. I've got about 220 some videos so far under my belt of this show called The Indoctrination. And we just, I talk about a lot of things that are happening with COVID-19, and we've got a great audience here of people that follow me religiously. And by that, I don't mean once a week. I mean like once a day. I appreciate you guys. So welcome, and we'll talk about some stuff, what's happening, and I take a lot of questions too. Yeah, don't try to find that video. Grown men there's no need to, because these people will pay the price. We got up to 300. Fantastic. We're down at 290. So what did I do? Bore you for the past minute or something? What happened, folks? You're just on to the next thing? By the way, do you like kind of swipe down and then you can listen and watch as you do some other stuff? I do that once in a while. Yeah, it's hard to sleep with what we know happening to children. Judy, I'm hoping we can have a conversation tomorrow if you're open to that. I've been meaning to do that, and so let's please do that. So Mkultra, let me just touch on this because I know so much about it. It could go down a really deep rabbit hole, but one of the videos I'm going to direct you to is a video called The Fourth Reich. It's on my website, theindoctrination.com, theindoctrination.com. And the Fourth Reich explains how, through a project called Operation Paperclip, that after World War II, we got all the best scientists, doctors, mathematicians, the people that were doing horrendous experiments, rocket scientists, literally, we got their top rocket scientist, who is, his name is Werner von Braun, so we got all these unbelievably talented people through a project called Operation Paperclip. Instead of them going to Nuremberg and hanging, they were given an option to come to the United States and live the American dream. Have a car, have a home, have a job. But instead, they'd be working for JPL, which stands for Jack Parsons Laboratories. People say it's Jet Propulsion, but it's actually Jack Parsons, who, by the way, Jack Parsons was tied in with Aleister Crowley. And if you know Aleister Crowley, you understand the relationship between the satanic cult and JPL and NASA. That's a different story for a different day. But please understand that we are being lied to on a mass scale all through the satanic cult, Aleister Crowley, the whole bit. However, let me get back to Operation Paperclip. So they bring over all these scientists and everything, and these scientists bring things with them like the rocket technology and fluoride. How do you dull down the masses and make them passive and lower their IQ? You put fluoride in the water, okay? And they got, they knew things about medicine and things because of the experiments they did on human beings. Back to 300, beautiful, welcome. So when this was happening, one of the things that we got was something called basic hypnosis. And hypnosis, what they were doing was they were hypnotizing people and seeing if they could get them to do things that they wouldn't normally do. Now, if you went to a hypnotist stage, they're not going to be able to get you to murder somebody, okay? Unless you already have it in you, or unless they implant it in you. So what MKUltra did, and I'll tell you about my history with MKUltra, a gentleman by the name of Walter Boart came to see me in California, and I had just directed a romantic comedy, and he came to me and he had a script that he wanted me to direct, and we had been introduced by a mutual friend, and Walter Boart brought this treasure trove of literature and information on this thing known as MKUltra. Now, MKUltra, you can research, is now declassified, but the MKUltra program was an Operation Paperclip program that the military conducted. And what they did was they used hypnosis and in combination with some drugs like LSD and then eventually like Xanax and Zoloft and those types of drugs. And what they did with that combination, first of all, they'd have to find the right person. So a lot of people are talking about, a lot of people are saying, let me scroll down so I can see the new stuff here. A lot of people are saying that with the MKUltra, they were finding children or young adults that had a history of physical, verbal, sexual abuse as children. Because when that happens to you as a child, you begin to decompartmentalize your brain. Compartmentalize your brain. So you've heard about people that have multiple personalities. Well, it's not multiple personalities, it's multiple sections of the brain that they've created different rooms for. Through the hypnosis and the LSD combination, once they found these children, by the way, a lot of those standardized tests you took as a child, if you're my age, I'm 55, a lot of those standardized tests would tell the military if you had these things that happened to you and if you were a candidate for this program. So by doing this, they were able to go to a compartment that you had created, that person had created to get through the trauma and come out the other side. And they would be able to go to that, and they would be able to implant a message and a directive into that space and then bring them out of it with a trigger word. So when they had the trigger word go, boom, that person goes to that space, and then they've got a map out of what they're supposed to do. This is how they created assassins, sex slaves, and information slaves for our government. And that's also how they were able to do some horrendous things to people and get away with it, because they couldn't remember it. So my friend Walter Boart, his friend had come to him and said, hey, listen, my wife goes on these trips, these business trips, and she comes home and she doesn't remember anything. Do you think you could do, he was a hypnotist, do you think you could do this hypnosis and find out what's going on? So he hypnotized her. He told me this story himself. It was unbelievable. So he hypnotized her, and she starts telling him under hypnosis. Well, then I opened up my suitcase, and in a compartment of my suitcase, there was a gun, and I loaded the gun, and then I tucked it away, and then I went down this pathway, and there was a man at the end of the pathway, and I asked him, are you such and such, blah-blah-blah, and boom, I shot, and he's getting this whole story. And he's telling me, and by the way, you can hear the story yourself. It's a book called Operation Mind Control. And it's written by Walter Boart, B-O-W-A-R-T. They tried to bury it, so it's a very hard book to find. And so, but let me know if you can find that. And so this is how they operated. They would send one of these agents out, and then on the other end, all they had to tell that person was one code word. And then that person would tell them the code word, and they would download information. That's an information slave. Or they'd call the person and give them a code word. That would be an assassination word, or the sex slave thing. So this is all happened. It was called the MKUltra program. It was a military program, and if you know Scientology, okay, L. Ron Hubbard was in the military, and he was a member. He was a part of that MKUltra program. So what he learned was by the way, the hypnosis part of it is called neuro-linguistic programming. This is the force, if you will, the dark side and the light side. Neuro-linguistic programming, you can do wonderful things because you can program your mind to be successful, to do all these different things in your life, but it can also be very negative because people can control you. It's on Amazon, $30. Hey, someone grab one for me, would you? Because I don't think that won't be around long, and I'd be happy to share it with you guys. But that's Operation Mind Control. I don't know. I can't remember. If I had to, he gave me a bunch of material that was unbelievable. And I had to give it back to him. That's how. And he only carried he probably had another copy. But Kathy O'Brien, we'll talk about that, Judy. I have her book. Transformation of America. I've got it around here somewhere actually. So that's the MKUltra story, folks. And part of that programming, that hypnosis, they have applied into our particular media. So they're using the media to program us. And as a wise gentleman by the name of George Carlin once said, why do you think they call it programming? That's how they get us. So that's my MKUltra story. It's still prevalent in our world today. You got 2 copies of what? Transformation or Operation Mind Control? Schooling. Christina, thank you. Digital book burning Nazis at Facebook. We'll be on it. Yep. That's what's happening. Good call. HCQ End It. What is that, Todd? The Lucifer Effect is eye-opening too. That's a book. Yeah, Operation Mockingbird, folks. The reason why we call it the Mockingbird Media is because in 1975 the Church Commission got the CIA in front of them and asked them a lot of questions, and we found out that the CIA was deeply embedded in the media at the time of the. Okay, that's not working. I thought this little pen was going to help me get to see more down there. And it doesn't. Monitoring the propaganda of the one world together at home is being televised by Global Citizen Channel. Global Citizen Channel. Darren, I'm not seeing that, but guys, check out what Darren Mercier is writing, please. Is a good buddy there, good man. And I want to talk real quick about the. I just broke this pen. I can't keep anything nice. About this event, I think it's tonight, okay? If you're going to watch this event tonight, this is the WHO in conjunction with, what's her name, Gaga, right? Who, God, I love some of her work, but she's a spirit cooker with Maria Abramovich, and she's part of the problem. And so are so many of the people. Your guests, the reason I brought up Fallon, Kimmel, and Colbert is because those three are working for the people that do not serve us. And so no matter what you think of them, they are part of they are the curtain that hides the wizard. They are the curtain that keeps you distracted and keeps you from being able to see the actual people and what they're doing to humanity. Lady Gag. I love that. Gag. Darren, thank you. So ideally don't watch it. But if you are watching it, I would ask you to do the following, and that is I'll review like the Super Bowl halftime shows, and I'll look for the symbolism, because what these people, Q has told us, symbolism will be their downfall. They will come out with a lot of symbolism, and that symbolism is the thing that the more people that see it and worship it, if you will, like how many young girls are going to watch it and gaga, yay, But that symbolism is embedded subconsciously, and it also fuels the spirit and the energy of the satanic cult, because there is worship of their symbols, of their sigils, of their symbology, without us even realizing it, still fuels the people that worship Satan. This is a spiritual warfare that we are presently engaged in. And now, more than ever in the history of our civilization, we must be aware of the people and the actions that they take that are in direct violation of everything that we believe in. Everything that we hold dear, our family, our friends, our culture, our spirituality, our art, real art, not Abramovich art. But look at it, folks. Gates, Microsoft, ran a commercial with Maria Abramovich on this thing. And by the way, Christie's too, guys. Look into Christie's for me, if you will. The auction house. Because they're doing this as well, in conjunction with Microsoft, to immortalize this woman who does some of the most disgusting things, and she's being revered for it because she's being worshipped like Aleister Crowley was back in his day by people like Jack Parsons that were responsible for NASA and JPL. Okay? And we have to, the false idols. Yeah, thank you, Justin. Yeah. All false idols. Why is Gates still a free man? Because he is taking control of the medical field. He's very powerful, and I don't believe he is for long going to be. Burudanga, Keith, drug, lose your memory and your free will. I don't know what that is. Yeah, Will Smith, folks. Well, you can go back to Fresh Prince videos, and you'll see. I mean, think about it. Going back that far, back to Philadelphia, and Fresh Prince videos, and you'll see the pedophile symbology in his videos. It's very sad. Very sad. There are some false, phony statements being stated in there. And where? Orlando Brown on Twitter, pissed and talking. Is it Brown or Bloom? I don't know Orlando Brown. Justin Timberlake video, children coming up from the ground telling you to wake up, freaky. I haven't seen that one, but you know what I saw just yesterday? Somebody sent, I forget who sent it to me right now, but it was a Christina Aguilera, who's mind controlled, by the way, going back to Mkultra, going back to Disney. She was a child coming out of Disney. And see what they do, folks. Give me 1 second, please. What they do is they think of the picture I just showed you of this young girl, Miley Cyrus, and here she is at the age of 17 with Jeffrey Epstein. See if you can find Jeffrey Epstein's other hand. She's 17 here. Okay. She was Hannah Montana. You remember that? Okay. And Hannah Montana was this Disney character. And so what they do is they get all these young girls and boys to worship these children, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Miley Cyrus, and they get them to worship these young girls. Lindsay Lohan. And then when they grow up, they've completely programmed them, and they can program them to completely go off the rails. And everybody thinks, oh, it's just fame. No. Bieber. Folks, this is a programming thing. This is the Mkultra. They get a trigger word, that they get these things, and then they go off the rails. And that destroys that idolatry of the young girls, young boys. They grow up and they see that and they think that's what they're supposed to do. See, this is how Disney gets you, folks. The Disney structure is the following. Let me share this with you. Look at the Disney programs. No parents. And if they're either dead or just not around. If the parents or the adults are in this show, they're buffoons. They're completely out of touch with reality, and certainly out of touch with the children. They're made fun of. And the children are pretty much on their own. This is called grooming. Not only to separate the children from their parents, which is what the state wants, by the way. That's why CPS is such a mess. That's why CPS is responsible for taking these children. Yeah, Madonna, Bieber, Katy Perry, these are all people that you've heard the term sell your soul to the devil. This is actually a thing. Karine, sorry to burst a bubble on Christina. It's not. I don't enjoy this part of it in terms of sharing knowledge that's really a bummer or downer. But if I can go back to the early premise of cui bono, who benefits in these situations, and we're talking about the people that are trying to separate our family. Okay, you look at rap music. Look at the focus on money and cars and ass and beautiful girls and shaking it. Look at the problem in our black community. Look at where are the fathers? Where are the families? This socialist program that goes back into from the late 1800s of Fabian society, part of it is too that they have a mission statement, they have a blueprint, and the number one step on that blueprint is to take apart the family. If we have our family, we're good, right? But if they separate our family, if they divide us amongst ourselves, it goes back to ancient warriors, Sun Tzu, you divide and you conquer. And if they're separating our families, look at what's happening with our children when they reach teenage years. Look at how they're rebelling. That's not natural. But it's natural in a programmed environment. Certainly there's going to be a feeling of wanting to separate. I mean, Steiner talks about that. There's a separation, wanting to be independent. There's absolutely that. But there's also this constant programming of the separation of the children from their parents that they get all along. Look at the Disney programs. You can break it down one by one by one by one. Each one, you're going to find this. We just watched The Descendants. I do it once in a while. And because I want to be able to have the conversation. But The Descendants, the parents were all evil. Those are all, fairy tales, but they're all evil. And the ones that are good, the king and the queen, they're not around, not engaged, or they're kind of seen as kind of goofy or dull or, Your phone keeps turning Facebook off whenever you watch me. Wow. Sorry about that. CJ, I'm glad you keep coming back, buddy. I appreciate that. Does that happen to anybody else? Oh, by the way, yeah, Mary, that's a great point. Guys, look what's happening in public schools. They're teaching our children in kindergarten that there are 15 genders, which I find absurd, because obviously there's no more than 11, right? Are you kidding me? Come on. There's 2 genders. That's it. You can be what you want. It shut you out 3 times already? Really, Peter? Oh my gosh. Who is the girl that keeps saying, let me see that thing? Is that here, Jennifer, or is that somewhere else? 5 times already? You guys are getting shut off? Wow. Tarzan's parents died, right. Not letting you share. Okay. So, all right, we're going to check 11. Thanks, Peter. Thanks. Oh, well, hold on. Christina, I'm going to come back to that in a second, okay? The Common Core, okay? We got to touch on that real quick. So so this whole gender thing, folks, it's like, listen, two things I think about. It's like, whatever you do in your bedroom or in the privacy of your home as adult, with another adult, that's your thing. That's none of my business, or none of anybody's business, right? What you into, or whatever. It's really none of my business. And honestly, if a man wants to lay down with a man, a woman wants to lay down with a woman, it's none of my business. And if it affects my spirituality or my preconceived notions of religion or the Bible or what have you, I don't want to offend anybody here. But as I've said before, please don't ever think that I'm here trying to placate anybody, because I've never done that in my life, with the exception of, you get into a situation, a work situation, and you kind of got to massage certain, areas or whatever of communication. But I'm talking about, I speak my piece, but I don't want to judge those people. I honestly don't. And I know a lot of incredible, incredible people that have a different sexual preference than I do. And so, but to the whole thing of the trans thing and all that, and even if that's something you want to do, I ain't going to stop you. But don't make it so that it should be normal to me. I'll love you just like I love everybody else. I will. I mean, I'm not going to judge you to a point where, I don't want anybody to feel bad about who they are or where they are in their world. But don't expect me to oh, you're a man now? Or you're a woman now? Or I'm not going to keep it straight. And I'm not going to be expected to keep it straight. Or I'm not going to be expected to be not shocked by the fact that Bruce Jenner, who I watched growing up on a Wheaties box and winning all these races in a decathlon, is now a woman. I'm like, whoa. But we're supposed to go along like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. No big deal. Well, wait a minute. All right, so at any rate, this whole thing, the 15 genders, the separation of the family, the infiltration of drugs and the rap music into the inner cities, and the constant the media that's separating us more, that is all meant to destroy the family. Because if you can destroy the family, then they have control of the children. Because the children are either seeking guidance from their parents, but if that's severed, then they'll seek guidance from their peers. And once they seek guidance from their peers, then the jig is up, the game's over. Because their peers are influenced by the media and by these people, by the Hannah Montanas and all that, and then they make bad choices. Is there a troll in here? Listen, dude, whoever you are, this is a safe space, and it's a space that, that we honor. And, God bless you, whatever you're into, whatever you're up to. But, just, if you wouldn't mind, just leave if you don't have something nice to say, or you don't have something to add, because maybe you can, go find something that you actually do care about, or something that does interest you, and, you can go about your day. Yeah, stealing entire generations through mind control in schools, absolutely. And speaking of schools, another wonderful, wonderful gift that Bill Gates has given us is Common Core. Hey, Ron, welcome, buddy. It's Common Core. The Common Core math was never meant to teach us math or teach our children math. Jennifer, I remember you. Hey, how are you? Costa Rica, right? That was never meant to teach us math. it was meant to confuse the children. It was meant to confuse the parents. It was meant to cause us more difficulty in helping our children do their homework and helping them navigate that whole world. And also, think about it, it divides us from our children because we know how to do math. We don't know how to do Common Core. So it makes us feel like, it makes us be out of touch with what they're presently learning. So you see how subtle this is, right? Do you see how subtle this indoctrination, this manipulation is to separate the families? Elise, you're a teacher, Common Core. I see you throwing up there. Thank you. Right? It makes no sense whatsoever. And so when we see something like that doesn't make sense, or when we see something like that we don't necessarily understand, oftentimes we'll go to a place where we question ourselves, right? We're like, oh wow, I don't understand this new math, but I guess I'm supposed to because everybody's doing it, right? And it was handed down by Bill Gates, like, some kind of a scepter from the king, so it must be good for me, even though, the guy can't make a software to save his life, or a computer that doesn't get infected with viruses, but he's going to keep us virus-free, right? So, so this is, maybe I'm supposed to learn this. So it makes us question ourselves first, and even the teachers. But then it just doesn't make any sense. And when something doesn't make sense, that's when we need to step back. Thank you. Thanks for first time. Kristen, welcome. Thank you. And that's why it's so good to just step back, folks, and get away from the emotion out of it. Draw our emotion away from it. Don't give our emotion to it, right? And just step back and say, cui bono? Who benefits? Who benefits? But when you understand that our education, I'd be interested to hear what you have to say on this, teachers, but is to understand, yeah, Ben Carson's been against it, that the education, now I've seen, there's a woman by the name of Charlotte Iserbyt, I-Z-E-R-B-T, I believe, Charlotte Iserbyt. And Charlotte Iserbyt was doing some freedom of information requests back in the day. I want to say back in the 70s. And I'm going to make a t-shirt. Thank you. Yes. I've got some design ideas, and one of my listeners reached out to me. He's got a t-shirt company, and we're going to talk probably tomorrow. I forget his name right now, but forgive me, but we're going to talk. I sent him my phone number already. So at any rate, Charlotte Iserbyt got a Freedom of Information Act with the federal government, as you do, right? Or actually, she got it with the state government of Pennsylvania. And she actually saw a document that says the mission statement for the public education, for the national public education, and that was, the goal of public education is not to educate, but to create conformity. Think about that. Not to educate, but to create conformity. Cursive. Why has that been taken away? Okay. That's a great question, by the way. And most people might not think that that's a big deal. And I will tell you that's one of the biggest deals in education right now that is not being talked about. Cursive. I have a little, what do you call it, a little keypad, for the iPad, right? So I'm going to show it to you. So can you see that? Okay, so you can't really see letters, right? I'm going to give you two letters, okay? You see Z right there, and that's A, okay? Do you see Z and A? What's the difference between those two right now? Who can tell me the difference? Right? there is no difference, is there? I brought this along. Okay. So Z, okay, A. Very sharp, very male, by the way. Okay, male in like sacred geometry. Okay, this is female in sacred geometry, right? Okay, the male would be the connection, the sharp lines. Okay, this is the male, and we're talking energy, right? We're talking male energy, female energy. It's the sweeping lines, the sharp lines. Okay, so yeah, the beginning and the end, right? ZA. Now, if we do a Z cursively, it looks something like that. I'm horrible, by the way. Okay, and the A looks something like that. Okay, it flows. It's in our body. It flows. The Z and the A on my keypad, which all these children are using now. Thank you, Susanna. You're awesome too. Hi from Yorkshire, England. Thank you for welcome, Janet. So, aren't we like 15 in the USA? We're way down. We're like horrible, right, in education. So let me explain this. So here you have on the keypad, there's no difference. Your finger is doing the exact same thing between a Z and an A. Here, it's just very sharp line, very masculine. But when you do both this and this, you incorporate the feminine. Okay? The fluidity of it all. All right? And there's another thing that you do is when you do that, you embody. When you write cursively, you embody the letters. In other words, you're using your right brain to write cursively. And your left brain is engaged as well because you're learning the letter. But you're using your left-right brain and you're crossing the corpus callosum, so you're actually, using your whole brain. Whereas here, you're just using your left brain. I'm not a lefty. Facebook turns me around, right? So I'm actually a righty. So this is my right hand, but to you guys, it looks like my left hand. By the way, why? Because they're turning everything around. Okay? Right? And Elise, cursive helps dyslexics, right? Absolutely. I'm so mad you keep getting froze out. This is so interesting. Christina, please keep coming back. I'm sorry you keep getting knocked off. Guys, this weekend, okay, I'm going to make a commitment to you that I'm going to figure out Zoom. Any help you can lend, I appreciate. Again, if you'd like to donate, theindoctrination.com, my Venmo, my PayPal, please, and do it as a gift, please, so that PayPal doesn't take so much money out. But I appreciate the support. And what I'm doing with that money is trying to get onto more platforms and to expand this message and this communication and this connection with you all. And so let me, I was going to just pull this up, but what I'm committed to do is trying to get on Zoom. I had a lovely message this morning that I was just trying to find from a lovely lady in Maine. If you're here, please say hi. Hi, Amy. Welcome. And nothing wrong with lefties. Yeah, we're not judging lefties here. But at any rate, she sent me a lovely message about helping with the Zoom, and she's in Maine, and she asked me to be able to have it archived in a way that she can take it with her on her hikes through the woods. And Zoom's been hacked, hasn't it? That's frustrating. That's frustrating. What's called Mongo? Is that something? Zoom has fixed the security issues. Is that true? Wait a minute. Is Zoom Microsoft? I didn't even know that. Do you guys know that? You know, it's unbelievable. They either buy or they destroy. You know. I'm ambidextrous. Can't spell it. No to Zoom. I can help with Zoom. Let me know. Christy, yes, please DM me. Thank you. Yeah, guys. So does that answer the whole cursive thing? It's incorporating your body, your flow. And our children, we all do, by the way, and that's why I think this is so effective, this medium that I'm having with you is very natural. Because, you know, having something scripted, somebody reading to you, I'm gonna go off on a little tangent here that I think you're gonna really enjoy. You guys good? We're up to 260 people. This is fantastic. You guys good? Should I keep going? Would you like to keep going? Is that I think you're going to really, really enjoy this, what I'm about to say to you. Oh, excuse me. 7 times you've been kicked off. Oh my gosh. Folks, if they're trying to keep it from you, you know it's good. Okay? So keep going. Somebody look up Zoom for me. Is it Chinese? Really? So, and if it's not Zoom, can we do something else? Is there something else? So, yawn. So, okay. So, what I'm talking about, and Elise, you're tracking on this, and I'm so glad I have a lovely teacher here with us, is that we are being taught like the Chinese. We are being taught how to be workers, how to work, be smart enough to work to make somebody else rich, but not be so smart to challenge the rich. Right? So, unfortunately, you can't watch me live on my website, but if you go to my page, the Indoctrination, David Snedeker page, you can find it there and watch live. So, okay, so let's just talk for a moment about the difference between conscious and subconscious, right? The typing on a computer is conscious. Cursive brings in the subconscious. It brings the right brain to left brain, the combination, and it embodies it. Your body is engaged in creating the letter outside of tap, tap. Okay? So there's something very natural about that. Excuse me. When you are watching a scripted show, movie, news, interview, etc. Well, I call it produced, right? It is produced in order to elicit a behavior or reaction from the person watching or listening. It has an agenda. And the agenda is not to your benefit. My agenda is I'm speaking my piece. I'm sharing what I know to be true, and I'm connecting with some pretty cool people. I have no intention of doing something that does not benefit us all. And one of the testaments of that is that you don't make money doing this unless, you get really big and, the donations flow and the whole bit. This isn't like one of those things where, I'm I'm going to get rich sitting in my living room talking to people on a device. That's not really up there. I know some YouTube people are doing it, but those YouTube people, by the way, if you watch the YouTube, I've watched the videos, how to be successful on YouTube. I don't do any of that. Okay? YouTube, they say you got to grab their attention in the first first 7 seconds. I've never done that. I'll be lucky if I get your attention in the first 7 minutes, okay? The other thing is they want you waving your hands like a mad person. Do-da-da-ba-ba-ba, right? And I don't do that, right? I'd be at 500 without issues and censorship. Yeah, I mean, people get cut off and they just move on, right? That's why they do it. That's why we got to get outside of Facebook. Do what you love and the money will flow. I hope so, because it ain't flowing right now. But at any rate, so thank you for that, Mary. So here's the thing. Consciously, we're watching somebody, and we may not be picking up that doesn't benefit us. But we don't see the eyes moving along the teleprompted words, right? We don't. They've trained themselves to be able to see the words and still try to look you in the eye. That's a technique that they are taught in journalism, and when they're going to be on screen. And it's not journalism, it's acting. They're reading a teleprompted script, and they're dressed up, they're made up, they're propped up, they got all the cameras and the lights, the best lighting, and if you're a beautiful woman that's got great legs, boy, we're going to show those off too, to distract you. Fox, morning, all that stuff, all right? So I'd show you my legs, but I don't want to lose subscribers here. So, but at any rate, so you have the subconscious, right, that is picking up those things, but we're not really in tune with our subconscious because we've been separated from it. We've been severed from our humanity. This mechanism of planetary control has achieved that control because they have severed us from our true human spirit. Because when we are in our humanity, when we are in our compassion, when we are in our love, we are magnificent beings. But through this mass manipulation, they have severed us from our divinity, from our humanity. And they have bastardized everything that we hold dear and made it out to be less than it is. So let me share something about music as it pertains to what we're talking about. I believe, and I've done research into this, that music, and I'm not talking about the musicians that we were just talking about that are going to throw up an all-seeing eye and look through it and all that kind of crap to show you, by the way, that they are satanic. Any musician that does this and puts their eye through it are sending a signal to their masters that they are under control. That is what that's all about. They're saying, I got you. Send me my check. Keep me at the top of the charts. Keep my entire concert schedule intact. I got you. I know where my bread is buttered. That is what that's all about. And their bread is buttered with a satanic knife. So I'm not talking about that music that is shoved down our throat, whether we like it or not, that we hear everywhere. I'm talking about beautiful musicians that have a passion for playing the guitar, piano, or whatever instrument, and their voice is an instrument that projects to us their passion, their feeling. And I'm also not talking about the TV karaoke of the voice and those things. I'm not saying those people aren't talented, but there's different levels of brilliance. And the top level of brilliance we're not seeing. And the top level of brilliance is the musician, the singer, and the songwriter that wrote that song due to an experience they had in their lifetime that moved their heart and their spirit to write that song, the lyrics, to write the music, to play it on an instrument, and to perform it. That is the upper echelon of brilliance and creativity. Then you've got somebody who's singing or playing that person's creation. That's another level. But they're talented musician, talented singer, and they do it, they honor that. Okay? Frequencies. Cheryl, hold on to that thought. Brilliant point. Thank you. Then you have the person who's just singing what somebody else has done, but doesn't embody what it was really about. You can't have a 15-year-old singing about a 5-year relationship breakup, because they haven't lived it, they haven't experienced it, right? And it just keeps getting watered down the farther down you go. And we are being more and more exposed to the watered down brilliance than we are to the brilliance itself. Now, how do we experience that brilliance? Well, when we're in person, when we're in a live concert, we are experiencing that brilliance firsthand. Analog. When we take it home and we play it on a record player, analog. It is the creation, a recreation of the creation, an actual recreation. A tape cassette, the metal, the connection, the groove of my romantic comedy, Allison Eastwood, my lead, she likes to play records because of the connection, and that actually leads to something very significant in her life. But the groove in the needle in the groove is connection, and it's a recreation of the actual event. And the metal tape rubbing across is connection, and it's a recreation of that. Then along comes the CDs. Two things about the CDs. First of all, I'm still going because I got so many people on. Hello, everybody. Sorry I got cut off there. I'll wait a little bit till everyone comes back on, and then probably wrap things up here. Hey, Stacy, sorry to drop off. That music industry, they're tough. They're tough. Hey, Darren, welcome back, guys. Peter, welcome back. Glad you guys are enjoying this enough to come back, and we'll see how many people we get here. We'll wait a few minutes if we will. Let me see if, as we're waiting for people to come back, let me see if I can find anything significant. Yeah, I do have something significant I want to share with you, but I do want to wait for everybody. Hey, 55 back right away. Hey, guys, how you doing? Welcome back. And I'll wrap it up here pretty soon. I don't even know how long I've been going, but 7:04. What time did I start? Hold on, 7:04. What time did I start? 4 o'clock? Did I really go 3 hours just now? Have we been going 3 hours? Rick, welcome, buddy. Lost you. Hey, Dennis. Guys, have I seriously been going 3 hours, or did my phone just trick me? It does not feel like 3 hours. How long have I been going? So CDs, I'll get back to the CDs. I'm holding off until everyone kind of gets back in the room here. Sadie, welcome. You look new. Hey Les, how you doing, man? Gene, welcome. And 3 hours. Wow, you guys rock, by the way. Cindy, hey. Jamie, welcome. Carol, yeah, 92. Let's wait for a few more to get back in the room. Holy cow, 3 hours. Did not expect that. And guys, if you don't want to share a 3-hour video, I get that. But you can tell them, don't watch the whole thing. Just tell them, watch 5 minutes. So tell them to start like 10 minutes in. Thank you, Gary. Tell them to start like, 6 minutes in, 10 minutes in, or just, go to the middle of it and just listen for 5 minutes. And if it's either for them or it's not, but don't expect them to watch something for 3 hours that they don't know about yet, right? And the other thing I'm going to do is I mentioned, if we have any editors out there in the world and you guys are down with this kind of thing, it would be cool to be able to put together like a little compilation, right? So like you could go to my website and you could look up theindoctrination.com, and you might have a question about, cursive writing. And they can watch just 5 minutes what I did, or 10 minutes on that cursive writing or something. Leslie, thank you. I love you too. So glad you're back. Judy, I'm glad you're back. All right, guys, we're back to 118, down from, I think, we were at 200 or something. Deborah, welcome. I'm so glad you love it here. I love you guys. This is cool. Don't watch the whole thing. Well, Darren, your attention span, I don't expect that from you anyway. Gary, how you doing, man? Glad you guys are back. Okay, so I'm gonna get back to the CD, so I think I last left off when I was saying about how are we listening to it, right? And there's a significant difference, please understand, the significant difference between an actual in live in front of the music, obviously we that transcends us, and an actual recreation, which you would get from a vinyl record player, needle through the groove, and the tape, head of the tape up against the actual tape. Okay, then you drop into a whole nother dimension. And that is, we're going to take that music, we are going to digitize it, we're going to turn that guitar, that magical guitar, and that entire guitar is going to be turned into zeros and ones. Zeros and ones. That will tell a computer what that's supposed to sound like. So we have gone away from the actual recreation into a new creation that is nothing like the original, but our ears are fooled into thinking it's the original. Now, consciously, there's not a difference unless you get somebody that's got a really incredible ear and they're able to determine the compression of those zeros and ones, the compression of that music into zeros and ones, versus the actual live, or not live, but the tape. Now, I can tell the difference between digital and that, but when it gets to a DVD level of really deep and highs and lows and a whole bit, not compressed, it's hard to make that determination, okay? But the problem is, like how I said, we're listening to more watered down versions than anything. This is very watered down because of the compression so that you can get them all onto your phone. Okay? So there's two things wrong with this whole picture. One is that, so consciously we don't pick it up, but subconsciously, I believe, without a doubt, that our subconscious can tell the difference between real and fake. Real and fake. That our conscious may not, but our subconscious can. And that's why there's a return back to vinyl, because it's got the connection, right? Now, the other problem with this whole scenario, and this goes back to the 1920s, and this was the I believe it was the Rockefellers were involved in this, and that's when they took the frequency of the music, and they went from 428 hertz to 440 hertz. The 428 is the way that music should be played, and the 440 is not. And if you look at some of the YouTube videos of music being played, and you see the sand that dances around, and it dances into a beautiful shape, that is the 428 turning into those beautiful shapes. The 440 was meant to disrupt humanity. That is meant to control humanity. And it goes back to the robber barons of the 20th century, who also took control of our medicine, took control of our pharmaceutical, the hospital medicine, the pharmaceutical medicine, got rid of cannabis. Okay. Hearst had newspaper, the newspaper magnate had bought up all the forests in America so that he could make his papers. They ran out of trees in Europe, by the way. So they came over to America, and when they came back, they said there's so many trees in America that a squirrel could go from one shore to the other and never touch the ground. So they came over for all the lumber, and he had all the lumber. And hemp is, you duplicate it every year. You grow a hemp field, you get all the paper you want, and then you grow it the next year, and the next year, and the next year, and the next year. So you can't buy up things and own them and control them. So Hearst was responsible for getting rid of hemp and cannabis. DuPont, who was working on synthetic materials, and the pharmaceutical industry. The Rockefellers wanted to get rid of cannabis because it was so effective at healing and treating so many things. 428 to 440, less. Justin, was I off on that number? Is it 432? Because it didn't sound right when I said 428. I think it is 432, isn't it? Please confirm that. Thank you for that adjustment. Oh, the healing frequencies, Amy, yeah, that's all good too. The subliminal music, the healing frequencies, the binaural beats, those are all really good. And don't get me wrong, those are all electronic, they're all zeros and ones, but we're moved by those, right? We're still moved by those. But the fact of the matter is that, and this goes for pictures too, if you take a snapshot with film, you're recreating, you're capturing the creation. If you do it digitally, your phone is capturing what it sees and immediately turning it into zeros and ones. So I also feel there's a big difference between, as a filmmaker, I shot on 35 millimeter film, I shot on 16 millimeter film, I shot on negative, I shot on reversal. As I was learning, I shot on reversal film. And I used to, literally, when I learned film, I would shoot it, then I'd take it to the lab on the west side of New York, Do Art Labs, and I'd have to come back and get it the next day, and then I could watch it. And when I watched it on a flatbed which was the tape would come across, and if I wanted to cut out a scene, I'd literally slice it, take that scene out that I wanted, and I'd hang it in a bin, and then get rid of the part I didn't want, and that was on the floor. That's why they say, my scene that I shot ended up on the cutting room floor, because you'd actually cut. It was called a cutting room. You'd cut the film and you drop it. And the sound was also Nagra tape, and that sound would come across, and you'd have to sync it with the negative. And if you wanted to fade out the sound of the music on that tape, you literally would cut it at an angle, and it would slowly fade out. So it's pretty cool. Mindy, welcome from Springfield, Ohio. That's fantastic. I grew up in Ohio, in Coshocton. So that's my music thing, guys. What do you think about that? Is that all good? Q posted reprogramming music yesterday. Christina, I'm so glad you mentioned that. What do you think that was all about? Tell me what you think that was all about. Because that was fantastic. I watched it. That was a beautiful, like this three-dimensional image that was turning around, right? Did you guys see that? You guys like that? Thank you. Thank you. Guys, we've touched on some stuff today. Cursive writing, music, oh man, holy cow. Whew. All righty. That was a lot. Yeah, we got booted. Interesting. So this is the second part of this. And Darren from Upper Peninsula, Michigan. Wooden art was cool. Wasn't that cool, Todd? I love that. And frequencies, guys. Here's the thing. The frequencies, if you love, like, really yourself, certainly there's a time and a place for, like, hard rock, heavy metal music. I don't do the heavy metal stuff or anything like that, but understand the power of the Baroque time period of classical music, and music that slows your heartbeat down and slows everything down. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start doing some background music. My buddy Johnny Mack offered that suggestion. I appreciate you, John. And I always wanted to do that, to have some kind of a background, kind of a vibe here. So that's part of the thing I'm going to do with your generous donations. I appreciate. A lot of newbies come this way. Thank you, Heather, for sharing. We had that was an interesting drop. Nevada misses all the tourists. I feel bad. I got friends in the business over there, and man, they're taking a hit, aren't they? Baroque radio is fantastic. Yeah. You don't listen to the radio. That's good. I don't listen to it. Hey, David. Good to see you. David, were you on last night when I was talking about glioblastoma? If not, please check that out. It was a long show, but I would love your feedback on that. Yeah, the hertz makes all the difference. Metallica is for cleaning. That's hilarious. Calming for those who know, yes. Well-rounded education. Thank you, Peter. Yeah. Thank you, Sean. What subjects don't you speak of? Thank you, Judy. Well, I'd like to think of myself as a Renaissance man. It would probably be more impressive if I could pronounce it. Yeah, I've always, not always, one of the things that I find that public education does, and a lot of private education as well, but by the time you get out of that education, the last thing you want to do is open a book. And I find that to be the most tragic thing, because what they've done is they have absolutely squelched your passion for learning through that system. And I talk about one thing after another, starting very young, and then loads of homework and Common Core and no cursive and da-da-da. And then the school system, the public education and even the private education system is destroying our children and robbing them of their childhood. Children need to play. They need to frolic. They need to daydream. For those of you who have had trouble in the school system and have not, did not do well and did not fit and did not succumb and did not... Do you have any idea how far ahead of the curve, how far ahead of us all you were? I'm thinking of you, Darren. Guys, you were way ahead of the curve. Okay? Because we were not meant to sit and look at a book. And books are great. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, but the fact that they make children treat them like kryptonite and they're, Superman by the time they're done with their education is the problem. And by the way, big difference between learning online and no more books, right, Anna? We need books. We need books. Please, don't stop buying books. Don't stop. And we're back. Hey, Todd. Hey, guys. Thanks for coming back. I'm going to wrap this up, so we'll keep it short, but I'll let everybody get back online. It wouldn't even let me come back on. It wouldn't let me use my iPad to come back online, so it took a minute. And welcome back. I'm gonna wrap this up soon, and give me a few minutes. Welcome back. I just wanted to kick off again. Yeah, I guess I was touching on those really shady subjects like don't stop buying books. Because this is a revolutionary act right here, right? This is everything, folks. The books are, and what's happening is book burning. It's digital book burning. And I want to tell you a quick story. I'll wrap up the what we were just discussing, and then I'll take a quick story, and then I'll wrap up, okay? Because I'm a little fried. I'm enjoying this, but I'm a little fried. Hey, Johnny. So guys, thank you for the Indoctrination.com. Please check that out. You'll see some of my other work, and I'm going to be working on how to get this in a format that we don't get knocked off, and also how to get this in a format that I can share and allow you to share easier outside of Facebook. And also, I've got some amazing podcasts like this that I think you'd really dig, just if you're going on a walk or what have you. Was crazy night. Was on the phone with my brother talking about dumbs, and we got disconnected and are unable to get back together. Really? Folks, we're talking about stuff, and yeah, Sasha, I'll take another look at the block check or the fact checkers. Thank you for that. Okay, and also, you're welcome, Kay. Thank you. Yeah, just yeah, I haven't done that in a while. I have to give that a shot. Welcome back. So real quick, the there's a lot of censorship going on, and sometimes it's just it's a connection or whatever. Again, conspiracy. If you think everything's a conspiracy, or you think nothing's a conspiracy, you're wrong. Okay? There's got to be some way. Most of it is conspiracy because that's the overlying thing, but not every. Sometimes it's just a bad connection, right? What a great night with you. Thank you so much, Dave. Pam, you're welcome. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. So let me, let me share something, and then I'll wrap things up. And what do you say we do this same time tomorrow? Yeah, is that good? Does that work for you guys? Oh, I was going to bring something up on my phone, but now I'm doing it on my phone because I couldn't do it. But yeah, everything is a conspiracy. Hey, Nick, how you doing, buddy? So we're back up to 118. What were we up to earlier before we got cut off twice? What was the high number today? And I appreciate you guys sharing this. If you want, I'm in California. If you guys want, if you wouldn't mind, maybe share that first one. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, Nicole, check it out. I think you're going to dig it. Folks, if the people that are coming in now, should they see 1, 2, or both? And I won't look, so you can feel free to be honest without offending me. I promise I won't look to see who's saying what. 267, Mary? Okay, awesome. So what we were getting into pretty heavy, Nick, good to see you, buddy, is the education. And what I was wrapping up with the education was that they're destroying the passion for learning. Because you guys asked me, Peter, 320 was the first go, 320 people. Love you too, Nick, man. Great to see you. Look, you put this smile on my face, dude. Just showing up. All right. I hope you're checking out my stuff, brother, because we're hitting it out of the park here, man. We're hitting it out of the park, and we're getting. Thank you, Judy. So somebody asked, is there anything you don't talk on, or do you talk about a lot of stuff or whatever? And what I wanted to get to was that I have a passion for learning, and I said I've always had a passion for learning, but that wasn't the case because when I first got out of school, I didn't want to see another book. I didn't want to open another book. Yeah, it was the book. It was How the World is Made. Think about that. By the way, think about that. Since I brought this book up, How the World is Made. Sacred geometry. Remember I mentioned that they'll teach us geometry in school, which we never use, but it does help us to process learning, right? But they won't teach us sacred geometry. And the sacred geometry, and I'll leave you with this. I think you're gonna like this, and then I'm gonna say good night. Okay. Tracy, thank you. I'm glad you're back. I'm gonna wrap this up. Greg, I'm glad you're back. Okay, so let me just show you something that I find to be quite fascinating. Now, I showed you that stuff earlier, but can you guys see this? I'll go up here, yeah? Okay, so sacred geometry. That was horrible. Let me try that again. Sacred geometry. This is basically the first shape in creation, right? This is a cell. And let me use this to describe the cell. The cell, what these doctors are saying about the corona, okay, the virus, we've got to wear masks and all the things that don't help us and don't thank you, Tammy Lee, that don't serve us. They actually weaken us, right? So this is the cell. When the cell is hit with things that damage it, some things happen within the cell that are not good. And imagine a room, that you're sitting in a room, and somebody lights a fire, and the smoke is filling the room. And in order for you to survive, which the cell has to do, you have to open a window. And when you open that window, the smoke leaves. The toxins that are created inside the cell has to expel. when the cell expels the toxins get into the system, and now your body and the bloodstream picks it up and tries to get it out of your body. Well, what's one of the areas that the body sends the toxins to get rid of it? The lungs. So this is what's happening with the lungs. Now, I'm no doctor, but I want to know what the heck is going on. So I look to figure this stuff out, right? Now, Rudolf Steiner, and you're saying Dr. Lingwood, who is that? Somebody just put up Patty. There's a guy called Dr. Livingwood on Facebook. He explained a lot about the virus and the immune system today. Great. So we'll check that out. Patty, thank you. Maybe, Patty, will you share that to my page, please? And so the body's trying to expel this toxin. And when the body expels these toxins, it doesn't feel good. It's not good, right? So you feel sick because you're getting rid of the toxins. So that's the cell. And that's just kind of what's happening with the coronavirus. These viruses are not living. They're toxins expelled from the cell. So to say that we're going to catch a virus from each other, that's not the way it's happening. What's happening is the 5G is going through our bodies and damaging our cells, and they're expelling the toxins. And if it's not the 5G, it was the radio waves back in 1918 when the Spanish flu happened. It was the different microwave technologies that happened when another flu happened. It was and all the dates. If somebody has a chart, there's all the flus that happened in our 21st century, 20th and 21st century, that were all congruent with a different change in our environment electronically. And we are electric beings. Our synapses in our brains are firing. Everything is firing on electricity. You hook up to an EKG and it takes a reading of your heart. You get hooked up to the beep, the beep, the heart monitor, right? Those are electrical currents flowing through our body that is communicating to those machines. And so to think that we're going to get hit with some external, like high intensity wave or frequency and it not affect our cells, we're crazy. And by the way, we were just talking about the frequency, right? The 432 versus the 440. Go online and look at the difference between the 440 and the 432 in its relationship to water. And then think about how much of our bodies are water and how much of the cell is water. And ask yourself if you really think that music or these outside frequencies, I just lost you guys, I'm sorry, lost the thing. So I can't see what you're writing right now, but that's okay because I can see what I'm doing. So if we don't think that the music is affecting us, look up Emoto. He's a Japanese. I don't even think he's a scientist. He's just this Japanese man who figured out that water carries frequency. Water carries a message. And he took all these water droplets, right? And he froze them. He took these water droplets and he exposed them to different things. Hate. He wrote on the side of the little jar, hate. And then he wrote, and that had the water in it, and then he wrote on another little jar, a separate jar, love. I'm sorry that this is backwards for you guys. Maybe with the Zoom that won't be the case. And then he took these water droplets from each one and he froze them. And then he put the water under a microscope. And the beauty that you see in the love, it looks like a snowflake, like the most beautiful snowflake you've ever seen. And the hate under the microscope is like nasty. It's like deformed, right? And that was Emoto. I won't write it because it's backwards. And fascinating work, right? So the water has frequency to it. Like it has memory. Water has memory. So when you expose good frequencies to water, it's beautiful, it's nourishing, it's fabulous. Bad, it's not good. So when we listen to Baroque music, think about the beauty, think about the fluidity in our cells, in the water, in our bodies. Think about that. And then we expose that same cell to this toxic 5G frequency, 5 millimeters, 60 hertz, which is completely out of whack with our sacred beings in relationship to the planet. What's going to happen to that cell? That's what's happening. COVID-19 is happening. So they bash us with the frequency. They get the people sick in Wuhan, northern Italy, Iran, Seattle, New York, where 5G is already installed and operational. But then they tell us, and they do it everywhere, then they tell us that we got to stay away from each other and we got to close our businesses. And they manipulate our entire situation. Now, I don't want to leave you on that negativity because, again, it mangles things. We need to be in love and harmony and peace and joy. And when we think about Q, when we think about Trump, when we think about all these things that are going to our benefit, we should be hopeful because there are people right now doing amazing things that are benefiting humanity. And for the first time, I believe, in our planetary human history, good is going to defeat the evil that is rampant in our society. And we are going to go to an entirely different paradigm, one that we haven't even imagined. It's going to be beautiful. So I'm going to leave you with this. And that is, this is the cell, okay? And what happens, and this is the beginning of all creation. What happens is that cell duplicates itself, right? So here we have the cell duplicating itself. Again, excuse my positioning and all that, okay? Now we have two cells. The first thing that's created, the first shape that's created out of two shapes is what's called this, is this right here. And that's known as the Vesica Pisces. The Vesica Pisces, the significance of the Vesica Pisces is this. And our third eye. That's the significance. This is the beginning of all creation. Everything goes back to this one instant. Whether it's a flower, a tree, a bird, a bee, a human, the cell and the duplication of cells. And that duplication of cells going out is not by accident and it's not haphazard. It is mathematical. And by the way, and so it duplicates, and I don't have my cup with me, but you've seen my sacred geometrical figure, the flower of life. Okay? Now, I told you about this is the female. This is the male. Right? They have done the following with the male. Sorry about that. Where have you seen that before? Okay. That's the all-seeing eye. It's on our dollar bill. It's on the top of the pyramid scheme. It's the whole bit. Because they have co-opted the most beautiful things on this planet for their own benefit in order to control us. And that, I'm trying to get your comments back, and I can't. Low network connection. Okay, I'm back. All right. Looks like I lost some of you guys. Darn it. So, but at any rate, when it's low, when it's the April 19th is significant because it is the beginning of the potential 10 days of darkness of this satanic cult. April 19th is a big day. It's a fire day. This is a big sacrificial period from April 19th to May 1st. Is the premier sacrificial period for the satanic Illuminati. So be on the lookout for something happening tomorrow as a part of that, and possibly in the days following. And I'm sorry I didn't mention that when we had 300 and some people on here, but maybe I'll post that separately, and we'll certainly talk about that tomorrow. So I'm sorry for the transmission problems that you guys were having connecting with me, and me getting booted off twice now. But thank you for spending the evening with me, and I'm so glad we had a nice show. All right, I love you. Please check out the IndoctriNation.com for my other things and how you can support me, and I appreciate all the love and all the support and all the shares. I appreciate that. Maybe just share the first one, and ask them to watch 5 minutes of it. Just go 10 minutes in and watch 5 minutes of it or so. All right, good night all. I love you. I can't see your notes, but I'll check them out later. Peace. Bye-bye.